Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Jim Cornette Experience. It's a noise-free edition today. The WWE has bashed Berlin, and we've got the full report here. Plus, we're going to talk about snakes and clucks and Sonny King and so much more. And joining me, Hawaiian Brian, the podcasting lion, the king of the Arcadian Vanguard Podcast Network, Mr. Co-host to you. He's the Sergeant Schultz to my Colonel Clink. The great Brian Last, everybody.
Aloha, Jim. I don't know if I would be on that side, but it's a pleasure to be here once again for another packed episode. We're going to Berlin today, and we're staying in Berlin today, I guess. That's really the end of the show, isn't it?
Well, we're in Berlin. And we can't get across the wall through the gate, whatever the case. But
another record gate. Another
record gate.
It's like the third time this year they announced the biggest gate in history.
And that's, again, it's the biggest gate in the country. It's the biggest gate in history. It's the biggest gate in the world. It's the biggest gate in the universe. And the people cheer. Think about this, Brian. Somebody said this on Twitter. I don't know who it was, or I would credit them. They are getting the people who had to pay the most money ever to cheer that they had to pay the most money ever to see this fucking show. Now think about that.
You know, it's crazy. I mean, it really does change wrestling. It was always kind of a working class ticket buyer. And that's not the case anymore. Part of it is they're priced out, but part of it is the people with the money are willing to pay.
Well, and that's the thing is that now, you know, the WWE going around the world and not only being able to draw these crowds in these major megalopolises and get the payments from the state governments or country governments or whatever. Before, it was about repetition. In your territory, you develop a fan base and get people watching your TV, and you give them shows every week or every 2 weeks or every month at the arena. And you keep them coming back, and even more on the big shows, buy tickets. And you had to make them affordable, the tickets, because people were paying anywhere from 12 to 52 times a year to see your shows in that particular town. But now they can just go all over the world. So now it's like Ringling Brothers. You know, it's a big, they come to town, No,
it's bigger than that, because Ringling Brothers was never able to upscale their ticket prices the way WWE does.
Well, that's true, because they wanted the little children to come.
Right.
And they were willing to mistreat the elephants to get them to come in.
Well, why do you have to make this a downer of a segment? We're
having
a good conversation here.
Well, hey, some of them
elephants. Mr. PETA has to jump in.
Some of them elephants deserved it. Fucking pricks.
That's not what I meant either.
But no, and actually the circus in those days was like, if they had a circus these days, you know, maybe Cirque du Soleil. But it was the same kind of thing, is that you wanted the kids and the families to come, and that way they'd come every year just instead of, you know, every week or whatever. But now you got to mortgage your house.
There has to be at least like one elephant. It's like, please don't send me back to the fucking jungle. Please let me keep doing this.
Oh, yeah. No, there's some of them are lazy. And they get used to domestic living, and they don't want to go back to the jungle and fight the white hunters with the lightning sticks that come to take their tusks.
All right, this has been Happy Talk.
Well, anyway, no, you started this. Were you talking about elephants? What were you talking about?
Record gates and how, you know, this is Vince's...
Then why were we talking about ivory hunting?
Well, you brought up Ringling Brothers, and everyone always compared what Vince McMahon was trying to do to Ringling Brothers, as opposed to the weekly territories like you talked about, come into town a few times a year, but scoop up the entire audience to see the biggest show on earth.
Yeah, well, and now it's more like the Rolling Stones.
Well, they're doing it better than Vince. Do you think Vince could appreciate that? Like, do you think he could sit back and realize they're doing it better than I could?
Boy, I think he realizes that they are, but at the same time, he's thinking, well, if I'd have stuck around, I would have, I don't know. I don't know if he can bring himself to say, wow, I should have got out of the way before I did. I don't know if that, thought will ever hit him.
Has it ever seemed so well-tuned?
Well, no, and part of this is these people are used to the people that run movie studios and, these major goddamn deals. It was still at heart, even though he found wonderful people to work in the office and et cetera, as we've talked about, it was still kind of rooted in a wrestling company, and Vince's didn't want to do international pay-per-views. Didn't, the time difference, the meltdown mentally that he had about just going off the beam with these goofy gimmicks over the last 10 years, all that stuff. Now they're like, fuck, we can maximize everything and we don't have to worry about the billionaire coming in and wanting somebody to bark like a dog. So, but I don't know whether he will ever be able to come to terms with, I may have, the last few years, I was holding him back.
You could definitely say the combination of Paul Levesque and Nick Khan is just, the best thing that company could have asked for post-Vince.
Well, yeah, because Triple H has the wrestling mind even more than Vince, because he was a fan of and student of things that Vince scoffed at. And so he's more wrestling, but at the same time, these people are more big business. They're used to paying people millions of dollars to do shit, but they figure out a way to make a profit on it. So, and they don't care about on the pay-per-view, which we'll get to later on. They were talking about, Revolution Pro and West Side Extreme Wrestling in Germany. Vince would have did, what the fuck? No, but they're giving these people's backgrounds. Before they came here to the biggest show on earth, they had excelled in other places. They even mentioned Punk won his first Ohio Valley Wrestling title in a strap match. They even mentioned that, for fuck's sake. So it's again, they don't give it. They know they're so far ahead that there's no reason not to acknowledge 85 or 90% of the fucking wrestling in the world. Maybe with one glaring exception.
Hey, I got the rodeo on in the background on CBS right now. You know what sucks? If you're a big rodeo fan, you can never be the hat fan.
Now what now?
You can never be like, hey, hat guy's here. You can never be that guy because everyone has a hat on.
Well, then you need to be the guy that comes in with a hat on a hat.
I see, now it works. I guess it works in that case.
And it would work in that. Anyway, but nevertheless, we're going to talk about Bash in Berlin later on, and we're going to talk about ticket prices later on, but I've got some news from right here in River City, the metropolitan Louisville area. Did you hear about this on the news?
Is this the story everyone's been sending me?
Well, I don't know, because I haven't even brought it up yet. What story have they been sending you?
I have an article here from WDRB.
That's Gilbert Corsi's channel. That's where Mark Weinberg tells us the weather.
Police looking for person who's allegedly been pooping on a porch in old Louisville. Is that the story you were going to talk about?
That's not the story, but give me more details, because I haven't even heard about this one.
The Louisville Metro Police Department is looking for someone who's accused of repeatedly pooping on the same person's porch. The person has allegedly been pooping on a porch in old Louisville. There are at least 2 reports filed from the person who lives in the area. Another was taken by an officer Wednesday. It's unknown at this time what the suspect looks like. what the suspect looks like.
But they do know what he's been eating.
Roderick Dowell lives across the street and saw it happen. Here's a quote. Old Louisville, man, you're going to see you see everything out here. I just happened to be outside and a white guy walked up. He was looking around. He looked like he was going into the apartment. He looked at the window. He looked out and he started crapping. It happened early Tuesday morning. The guy is wearing a t-shirt, gray basketball shorts, and socks on the front porch. He appears to look around, do his business, walk away, and then come back and do it again. and the second time he rang the doorbell. Back to Mr. Dow with a quote, literally started crapping like boom. And he got up, walked off, and went back down the street. The homeowner did not want to speak with WDRB on camera, but shared the video with us. And of course, anyone with information is asked to call the anonymous crime tip line, 502-574-LMPD.
Actually, they have a special number. It's 1-800-POOPERS.
So this isn't the story? I thought,
no,
a lot of people thought maybe it was you.
What? That be the homeowner or the crapper?
The crapper.
Well, everybody should know that couldn't possibly be me. My knees are so bad, I can't fucking squat and shit.
Like there's a guy across the street watching. I watched the whole thing happen.
Yes, I saw the whole thing, officer.
I didn't say a thing.
He pulled his pants down.
I didn't say get out of here. I didn't say anything. But
you could have. You would think that an across the street neighbor, not a next door neighbor, but across the street neighbor, would at least say, "Hey, quit shitting on my neighbor's porch." I would do that for the people next door to me. Remember, and Hank next door, bless him, he's gone now, who used to come over and shit on my walk all the time. I would just grab him by the collar and take him back over, cross through the fence.
Oh, here's the video. Yep.
Oh, they've got the video. Is it graphic video? Viewer discretion advised?
It's a man pulling down his pants and squatting down, and they put the blurred circle over his ass while he's shooting. Poop. How do you feel about poop being the official word used, and pooping and pooper all over this story? Like, that's the official... That's what the news uses?
Well, that's the thing. You couldn't have done that 30 years ago. They wouldn't allow you to say poop on the news. I don't think on television in general, at least local television. The networks might have been able to get away with it every now and then, but no, you never heard anybody say poop on TV.
The defecator got away.
Yes, and if that story had been done back in the 70s by Mort Krim on WHAS television news, it would have said police are looking for a man who left excrement on a man's front porch earlier today. And there would have been no double entendres, no giggles, no eye rolls. He would have read it straight. Police are still looking for the defecator.
Prime suspect, Vince McMahon.
oh, now you got to bring everything back. I thought there was a pause on that. While they paused the lawsuit and paused everything for the federal investigation, we're pausing.
That doesn't pause the defecation.
We're pausing puns.
It doesn't pause the defecation.
No, he's constipated too. They say you can't take a dump until this fucking federal investigation is, and then we can all go back to our normal habits. But anyway, no, there was another news story that involved the Louisville Metro Police Department today that I heard about, that I wanted to tell you about. A woman, apparently this woman was somewhere out by the Bluegrass Parkway, south of town here, earlier this morning, and a woman comes up to her and tries to carjack her car while her kid is inside. And apparently the police were called and intervened and arrested this attempted carjacker in some fashion. I don't think there was a chase. I don't think she got away with it, but nevertheless.
Did she get in the car?
Well, I just saw the brief clip that there was an attempt made. Perhaps, she was partially in and partially out, and who knows what, but the cops nabbed her. And in the course of arresting her, the question came up, why did you try to carjack this woman's car and her kid? And the perpetrator said, Kanye West told her to do it.
Is it Raka Khan?
No. And it actually wasn't even Kanye West in person. Because, and this is a quote from the arrest report, Kanye West told her to do it telegraphically.
All right.
No, oh yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
That's the Louisville education system for you, folks.
Oh no, come on. We don't know that she was born here.
They're pooping, they're
jacking. Well, they're jacking and pooping like they were in San Diego, but no, telegraphically.
Telegraphically, not.
That's hilarious.
Do you think the pooper should use the same argument? Kanye West told me to do it.
Do it through mental telegraphically.
Mental telegraphically.
All right.
Wow. Well, I'm glad the lady.
Well, I thought it was funny.
I'm glad the lady and her kid are safe. That's the most important thing.
I'll have you know also, you should not be making mockery of me anyway. Shut up now. Don't be doing Jerry Lewis. This is a serious topic I'm going into here because I survived another home invasion yesterday. I had a near-death experience, was in danger and fear for my life. And fortunately, I was able to subdue the interloper and dispose of him in quick fashion. But you're not even worried about me and this heroic thing that I did?
Well, explain more. This is news to me, and it's certainly an interesting story. Let's hear more about it.
Well, I like to have the air filter, the furnace filters, air conditioning filters, same difference. Like to have them changed every 60 days here at the castle because it's the allergy capital of the world, as you can tell. And so yesterday, being nigh upon the first of the month, it's time to change the furnace filters. And I go down, and the very first one I'm going to change is in the utility room off the bar downstairs. And that's where the furnace is there, the water heater, the water softener, various things that make the place run. And I go in there and I start to lean over and change the filter. And I look in the corner underneath the carpet shampooer, and there's a fucking snake. And what the fuck?
Like a little tiny snake?
Well, what do you call a little tiny snake?
Like a little kind of little snake. I don't know what to say. A little tiny snake.
A little snake. Well, this son of a bitch, if I had allowed him to stretch all the way out, it was probably 18 to 24 inches. And that's too big to be in the house. And so I said, oh, shit. And I got my sock feet on.
You cut its head off with an axe?
Well, hold on. I got no axe. That's it. I got my sock feet on is what I did, Brian. I had socks on. I was in my sock feet, as my mother used to say. And I've got a goddamn air filter in my hand, and I'm looking around for a weapon. And I look, and around the corner is the fireplace, a fireplace poker. But goddamn it, that's awful blunt. You got to be precise. And what if he decides to fucking scurry? And then he gets under something, I can't get to him. I'll have to sell the fucking house. There's a snake in the house. So I do the Peter Griffin. I back out slowly. And he's not moving. He's just laying there. And then I sprint up the stairs and through the kitchen and the TV room and out into the garage. And I grab a pointed shovel. And then I run back down. And as I come around the corner, I peek around, and there the son of a bitch still is. And I sneaked up on him. Slowly I turned, step by step, inch by inch, I crept up on him. And right as he started to look up at me, boom, down I come with the shovel. And I missed him with the point of it and took a big chunk out of the concrete floor. And the fucking... and the fucking thing starts fucking curling and going, and I got a boom. The second one I went with the side of it, and I got him right in the middle, and both ends are squirming, and I'm a sawing, and he's a squirming, and I'm a bam bam a little bit in the middle, and I cut the son of a bitch in half, and both ends was still moving around. Which scientifically they will tell you is muscular contractions, because that's all a snake is a big, long muscle.
So Jake keeps going.
Exactly. But in this instance, it was freaky because I'm trying to kill this thing, and now there's two of them. And then I began to fucking hit him with the shovel as a blunt instrument. Boom, boom, boom. And then it started flattening him out and et cetera, et cetera. And it was about as big around as my little finger, I'll have you know. And now I got tongs and picked him up and put him in the garbage and carted him off. But now I've got to, because we're used to mice. Every once in a while, you'll get a mouse interloper in the crawl space, which is right where he was next to there. And, you know, but I've had my crawl space cleaned and vapor locked, and now I'm going to have it goddamn spray foam insulated. Because I think he got through where the heating and air gentleman vented my new furnace when last they replaced it, and there's a place there if you haven't sealed it up just properly, there could be a goddamn hole big enough for something like that to happen. I was not pleased about that. Have you ever had a snake in your house? You should be going, oh my God, I can't imagine what it would be like to have a snake in my house, or something like that.
Yeah, we've had a few small ones. Actually, the pest control professional was just recently here, and he took one out of one of the traps in the garage. But last year, one of the crazy, I don't even know if I ever talked about it on the air, there was a snake. They got caught in like a spider web in the garage in the corner.
Oh, good Lord.
And for weeks, the spider was killing the snake, and the snake wouldn't die. It was insane.
The fuck? You left it there for weeks?
For weeks. I had to see how this was going to turn out. I didn't want to end it. And then I have no conclusion, because then just one day it was all gone. Like one day, and I think it was like a weird thing where like, ready, refresh, we're here to give me a new case of water. And all of a sudden it was gone. Like they may have politely cleaned it out. I don't know. But I never got a conclusive answer. But after 3.5 weeks, the snake was still alive. Stuck in a web off the ground. Hasn't been eating anything that I could see.
You came home to that house every day from whoever you were out harassing.
What?
In your daily life, and there was a snake and a giant fucking mutant spider in the corner of the goddamn garage, and you just looked at it and left it there. I wouldn't have been able to sleep a fucking wink. Spider and snake?
It wasn't an abnormally large spider.
Well, I don't care. There's a snake there too. That magnifies it.
And then sometimes you'd see the snake, and again, it's a small snake, and you lean in to look, and its mouth would be open, and then the tongue would come out. Like, fuck, it's still alive. How is this happening?
You're leaning in to look. What if that had been a goddamn fucking what is those with the viper?
One of those,
whatever, yeah. One of those, whatever, where the tongue comes out and gives the pump, and it gives you the poison, and you're paralyzed. And then
I was pretty sure this wasn't a viper. I was pretty sure this wasn't a viper.
Gee,
we don't get vipers in the garages here in New Jersey. No.
I'm telling you what, my next step would have been an explosive if I couldn't have fucking got that sumbitch and he'd have got under the guy back in the crawl space. I would have had to call the police or some goddamn wildlife expert to come out here, because there's no way I could coexist knowing that it was there.
Well, I had some comfort that the snake had it. I mean, that the spider had him, and the spider wasn't going to let go, and then one day it was all gone, and I was so pissed.
I'm pretty sure that your water people probably say, oh my God, we'll save these people's lives, because this fucking crackpot that lives here obviously is not in control of his faculties and has left these dangerous wildlife vermin to fucking prosper here in his garage.
Spiders are our friends. They help us. This is a great This is a great example of spiders helping people.
Well, how do you know that the snake snake was trying to protect you from the spider?
The spider was so preoccupied with the snake for weeks, and he couldn't give up. He kept having to create like new webs, because the snake would slither around, but it was off the ground. So it was moving violently when it could, and the spider would just have to make the web tighter and tighter and tighter. It was extraordinary.
So what you're saying is
there was no ending to it.
Two criminal entities were trying to invade your home, and were engaged in a battle to the death to see which one would survive to enter your home and kill you and your family. And you were You were excited about watching this procedure.
That's not what I'm saying. I don't even know how you got there. No, there are no criminal entities involved in this.
Well, there certainly was
That's
ill
all
intent
Hollywood.
involved
That's all
on
Hollywood.
behalf of the spider and the snake. The snake is going to bite you because it's a snake. And the spider's going to bite you because it's a spider. And if it's the poisonous brown recluse spider, well, your days have come to an end.
Isn't this the perfect example of what you would want in your garage? The kind of protection you would want. If a snake gets in before it gets too deep, the spider grabs him. That's it.
What if the spider has no snakes? What if the snakes hear about this through the snake grapevine and say, fuck, stay away from his house? Then the spider's got nothing to do and it starts looking upstairs to those warm-blooded entities.
The spider ain't going upstairs. That ain't happening. But I don't know how it started either. Like, was the spider looking for food and the snake... No, was the snake looking for food and the spider grabbed them? Or, why are we still talking about this?
Let me ask you what this sounds like. What can you hear this?
1:05 p.m.
What was that? No, what was that?
Do you know what you want to hear it again?
Yes, please.
Hold on.
1:05 p.m.
What the hell is that?
1:05 p.m., my new clock. Remember,
It's
I
104.
told you.
It's 104. It's not even correct.
Well, that's just because there's see, you're farther east than I am. That minute will show up over here eventually.
No, you're saying you have it before I do.
Oh, well, it's going the other way. See, it's west to east. I forgot. But no, the other day I told you that my clock on my desk, it was flummoxing, it was malfunctioning, and I couldn't tell what time it was because part of the LED display was not displaying the LEDs. And so if it was 12:41, it might look like 12:11, and I wouldn't know the fucking difference. So Chad Keeney from Fayetteville, West Virginia, came to my rescue because he had ordered a digital clock for his desk for the same reason, because the old one was fucking up, and they accidentally sent him 2 clocks. And when he registered this issue with the company, they said, well, it was our mistake, so keep it. So instead of keeping it for his own greedy self, he forwarded it over to me. And I had the reason why it's the talking clock.
1:06 p.m.
is because I'll have you know, I've interacted with Chad before, done a cameo for him back a couple of years ago. He is the first blind entrepreneur to take over the rest areas in West Virginia as as they say down south, the soda pop distributor. He's a Pepsi representative, so he can't get the Sprite Zero, but they have Starry Zero, which is of course the Pepsi brand equivalent. Apparently, I've not heard of the Starry Zero.
I never heard of Starry before.
Well, we got to try that.
Well, you do.
But for heaven's sake! Now you could certainly take a sip and let me know whether or not
I'm not a Sprite aficionado.
Dangerous.
I add nothing to this.
Well, anyway, I want to thank Chad from Fayetteville, West Virginia, for his gift to me, so that now I can see and hear what time it is around here. That's one of the greatest lines in it. W.C. Fields, fucking talking to his stooge. He's maligning his son-in-law, and he says, that guy, he's so stupid he doesn't know what time it is. And then the other guy says, what time is it? I don't know. Anyway, we want to thank Chad for that. And speaking of ticket prices, as we were earlier, we got sent an email. Who is this from Adam? I'm an Australian. See, they even type with an accent. Hey, I'm an Australian. What date is this, Brian, that the type is so tiny? I'm trying to click on this, but they're coming to Australia. It's February, right? I don't see a date on it, but that's their big event.
February, correct.
Is this their big stadium event?
That is their Australian stadium event, Grand Slam, correct?
Okay, can you, since you're better at it than I am, can you Google-fy how much an Australian dollar equals in American dollars so that we can give our United States listeners some frame of reference for this, what we're going to talk about here?
The Australian dollar, one Australian dollar is equal to 68 United States dollars. Wait, that can't work.
What? No.
68 cents. So 68 cents equals $1 Australian.
Okay, that's about what Canada and the U.S. used to be back in the early 90s when they would pay us from the Toronto office. So every time we worked a Canadian event, we'd get paid in Canadian dollars, and it was worth like 2/3 of an American dollar. Which conversely is why the Hart family were living like fucking kings and farting through silk, because they earned most of their money in America and they would get paid in American dollars, and it was like $1.30 for every dollar when they went home to Calgary. But nevertheless, so help me do the math here. If the Australian dollar is worth about 2/3, then we're going to deduct a approximately 30% off of these ticket prices for the American mind to comprehend, right? So the all elite front row VIP package. Would you like to know what you get when you buy this one, Brian?
Yeah, what do you get?
You get one seat in the first row. It's first row ticket. And your own AEW branded folding chair to take home. You also get an exclusive inside the ring chat from AEW personalities and photo opportunities with an AEW star. And there's already an asterisk. Talent is subject to change and not announced in advance.
Say hello to Kip Sabian and the Dark Order, everyone.
And come in and chat with fucking,
Ishii
Aubrey
is ready
Ed.
for conversation.
Yes. And you get in the pre-show function with a 1-hour beverage package and light refreshments. So apparently they're going to put it, there's probably, depending on their ringside setup, there's 20 to 25 seats in the front row on each side. So you're talking 80 to 100 people. And they get in some room where they've set up the fucking Iron Brew or whatever they've got over there. Exclusive pre-show ring walk and a once-in-a-lifetime selfie photo next to the ring.
What's a ring walk? You have to actually walk in the ring?
They're going to let the people come early and walk down the aisle to the ring and then have their picture taken with their own fucking phone next to the ring.
I never heard that phrase before, a ring walk.
Well, that's because I don't know that anybody's ever done this before, because they're thinking, these fucking people in Australia, we've never been there. We're going to milk them for everything we can get, right? You get a $50 merchandise voucher or merchandise item, which is valid in all merchandise retail outlets within the venue on the day of the event. A commemorative event lanyard. We used to make those at Camp Mountain Lake. Lanyards, the fucking thing around your neck, and hard card. So they're making up the little pass, right? And with a string around it. This stuff, okay, a lanyard within a bag of them, that's 25 cents. Get the fucking thing laminated. You might have 50 cents in that. Letting them walk to the ring is free. They're taking the picture with their own phone. They've got $1 in that. Pre-show function, they rented the goddamn function room in the stadium, and they're going to buy some soft drinks.
Yeah, it said beverage package, and then it also said, soft refreshments. So that doesn't really...
a 1-hour beverage package and light refreshments. I don't know what all you can drink in an hour. What is a 1 hour?
And if it's light refreshments, is it all you could drink soda?
I don't know. But early entry into the venue and merchandise stand access. So you can be the first one in line to spend more money with us.
Before we sell out of all the limited merch we brought, you get to go and buy it.
On-site VIP host to assist you with event day queries. Some production stooge that we're paying already anyway. So they have the chat with the personality and the photo opportunity. They have nothing in this, right? They have they've rented the party room. Otherwise, they've got $1 besides the ticket in this. It's all just taking people around where they're already going to be. $1,199.90 Australian.
Give me that one more time.
$1,199.90
is equal to $811.73 in America.
Well, there you go. So the front row tickets are $800 a piece. And I got to give it to them because the $50 merchandise voucher or merchandise item, it's a loss leader to try to get you to spend more money at the merchandise stand when they let you into it early. So they figured out a way that we'll goddamn give these people shit that it doesn't cost us anything.
All t-shirts are $40. Here's a $20 gift certificate. You have to spend money one way or another.
Yeah. Well, because think of it, it's $50, you take 30% off of that. So it's really like you're giving them $35 American. All right. So then they also, this is out of order. Then the next level down is reserved seat. Oh, and you're taking home a folding chair. I'm sorry. Yes, also in that. So since they bought hundreds of those cushions to go in those chairs, what can the chairs be? $20 if you're buying 500, maybe. Anyway, rows 2 through 4 is the premium reserved, and you get the chat, but apparently not the photo op. You get a pre-show function with a drink on arrival, light refreshments, and access to a private cash bar. Here's your own line that you can give us more money.
It's like Russia. What is that? You take your hard-earned money, we give you a place to spend it, and then you spend more, and we give you more ways to spend your money on us. It's ridiculous.
Yes. $50 merchandise voucher, commemorative event lanyard, hard card, early entry to the merchandise stand, and on-site VIP access or host to assist you. And that is $999.90. So we're talking what about
$676.43.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Where's the party with Tony option?
Well, maybe we're getting there. We're getting there because we still got more VIP. So rows 5 through 8, you get the chair, an event lanyard and card, and the same production stooge to assist you. That's it. For $749.90. You know, I'm starting to think that front row ain't too bad of a deal because now you're in row 8 for what?
$507. $507.31.
You're in the 8th row for $500. You get to take home the chair and a fucking lanyard. So I'm thinking the front row is probably the way to go here. And then the premium fan VIP package is you get a premium reserved seat in sections 324 to 319, early entry into the merchandise stand, $50 voucher, and commemorative lanyard, and VIP bar lanes. Get drunk quicker. Now, here's what they've done here. That is $499.90. The people that are buying rows 5 through 8 in ringside for $749.90, they don't even get the $50 voucher.
This is $338.18.
Jesus Christ. All righty. And I think that's the bottom that they've got talked about right. No. There's an add-on package. $439.80. You get entry to the meet and greet and backstage tour on Saturday morning. Snap a photo with some of your favorite AEW superstars. Behind the scenes tour.
Ambush them at the hotel. What is this?
But no, behind the scenes tour around the venue. This print is so small. So for another $439.80, whatever that works out to, you can go to the meet and greet and snap a photo of some of your favorite superstars. Talent is subject to change and not announced in advance. And have a tour of whatever around the venue.
How much is that one?
$439.80. You can add it on to these other things you've bought.
That's a $297.52 add-on.
Woo!
VIP packages are a way a lot of musicians make a killing on the road. A lot of companies like Live Nation make a killing on the road. Wrestling doing them, WWE does stuff like that. They've been doing giveaway chairs since like WrestleMania 10. That's the right thing to do. AEW is a challenger brand, as they always remind us. It shouldn't be the same things. It should be get fucked up with Tony Khan, $5,000 ringside ticket. Wander around with Moxley, $1,000. Like, it should be higher prices and crazier perks. But good perks. Perks that make the company different. I'm not even joking. It should be like when they had like, win a day to party with Van Halen. That's what it should be. Spend a night with Tony Khan.
No, I agree with you, but that's the thing, as you mentioned it earlier. Who's it going to be? Get your picture with a AEW superstar. Hey, meet Kip Sabian. They're not
right
guaranteeing anyone or anything, and the things that they are telling you they'll give you cost them absolutely nothing. And like I said, it turned out the front row's probably the best deal. Because you're in up in the goddamn bleachers for $500, $600 if you added on the meet and greet.
I think they should jack the prices up and make it more unique. Like, be the referee for one match on the show. The referees are terrible. You wouldn't lose anything. You create a wonderful fan experience.
Maybe they can find somebody better to replace Knox.
Well, there you go. It can't be worse than that. That's the point. Any wrestling fan who watches wrestling can do better than that.
But that's, you know what? That may be their saving grace. Make themselves a fantasy camp where the wrestlers or where the fans can come and interact with the supposed wrestlers, because then problem is you wouldn't be able to tell many of them apart. Who would they send out at the end of the thing? They might lose half their talent roster.
Are you one of the fans? Where are you from? No, I'm the TNT champion. What are you talking about? You know, I would like to see, if anyone has it, just for comparison's sake, what did WWE charge in Germany, France, wherever it may be? What are their VIP packages and what are the costs?
Well, and I'm sure that, especially in France, because it was an indoor arena, and I think, or not France, but Germany just now, what I'm trying to say, it was an indoor arena, and they had 13,000 people, and it was sold out, so they were obviously high prices per head. But Tony and his merry band of pranksters are trying to run a stadium in Australia, which, as we said, then, you know, traffic from across the border is limited in Australia to air travel. So, you know, you're trying to draw from that specific population, which, yes, it is the first time ever, but we've also heard their television is not super strong in Australia. So the point is, wouldn't you be trying to find a balance between, since he's not concerned about making a huge profit, it doesn't seem like anywhere else, find a balance between what they'll pay and what's kind of fair to get the most number of people in the building. And or then are the people right in the section above the VIP premium section 324 fans going to be paying $24.95 by the time the showtime comes around? Then isn't that going to cause some ill feelings? Why, you know,
that's the conundrum. You want to be able to sell high-priced tickets to people with money. Everyone does that who tours, every sort of form of entertainment. But again, what we were talking about earlier, wrestling in a lot of ways has priced out the working class. And you don't see that anymore. So if AEW, for instance, goes to a town and they have situations like these Australian prices, if they can get people to sell out ringside with that, you still have to worry about getting more people in there than that. And that's where you have to wonder about the ticket prices and the marketing. WWE doesn't have to worry about getting a family. They just have to worry about getting people with disposable income.
Well, and there's so many of them because they're the worldwide, what was Vince said, the worldwide leader in sports entertainment. They're the worldwide brand now that's kind of acknowledged, and they're tied into the UFC, which has already been doing, international shit for years and years. And again, they're owned and operated by Hollywood now. So they're going to be able to get away with almost anything. But I'm just saying, when do the tickets go on sale? These are advertised, but I didn't see that the tickets are on sale date. When will we know what is going to?
That's a good question. Let me see if I can find out.
Because hold on. I lost my place here, but because it's screenshots is what I'm seeing of the fellow trying to buy these tickets, and it doesn't show me an on-sale date.
According to the AEW website, the date is February 15, 2025 for Grand Slam Australia. On-sale date coming soon.
So marinate on this for a while, and we'll tell you when you can buy them shortly for these prices. I would have, if I'm telling people what that I'm selling and what they're going to have to pay, I want to be able to tell them exactly when they're going to be able to buy them at the same time, or sometimes that people's first blush changes. You see what I'm saying?
They're going to be in Australia. They just had break dancers with Will Ospreay. Should they book Raycon?
Here's another. Well, there's another example of, would you be able to tell whether Raycon was, came into the fucking prison or was just leaving? You don't know whether she was one of the show or one of the inmates. I can't believe they're not saying here, and they will be on sale at such and such date at such and such specific time. And here's what we got. Because then you know how to make a decision. Whereas if they're giving these, because the guy that emailed us was going like, Jesus Christ, I'd have to rob a bank to go here. If everybody's just sitting on, fuck, these goddamn high ticket prices, and don't know when they're going to be able to buy them, and if there's going to be what the other cheaper prices might be if they just want to go and sit up in the nosebleed section. That gets people kind of rumbling in a bad way, doesn't it?
It could.
Well, anyway, that's how much it's going to cost you, ladies and gentlemen. Brian, are you saving up for that now? How are you going to start a Christmas account like they used to in the old days at the bank, put in $2 a week?
No, well, it would be a Hanukkah account for me, but no, I don't think this will be something I'll be saving up for. I don't plan to go to Australia for AEW, but I'll be watching it on TV.
Well, now maybe somebody out there in the audience that wants to go, and they can't afford it right now, and maybe they're not setting up a Christmas account. You could win all the money gambling, couldn't you? And just take a wild trip over to Australia, to Brisbane?
Well, certainly the potential's there. If you were going to take your money and wager it, you could win, and you could win enough to fund a wonderful trip to Australia.
See, that's what Vince McMahon used to say. You'll have the potential to make more money than you've ever made in your life working for me. And
now let me take a shit.
and it depends on what you have to do to get it. But folks, you can win that money. You have the potential to do so with our friends at DraftKings, because all you've got to do before the nut cutting time comes shortly is download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, because the NFL, I understand that stands for the National Football League. Brian, is that correct?
That is correct. Very good.
Well, they are an official sports betting partner of the NFL, are our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook, and NFL Week 1 is here. This is the first week of however many weeks that the NFL does the things that they do, and they're playing the football all over the country. And a new season means new ways that you can win money by getting in on the action at the DraftKings Sportsbook. And all you've got to do is download the app now. And if you want to start out with something simple, a gateway bet. If you're a novice, just pick a player that's going to score a touchdown. And if that player scores a touchdown, you're going to win a bunch of fucking money. It's that easy, folks, and it almost never goes wrong. So right now, you can score big with DraftKings Sportsbook, the best place to bet touchdowns. You can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code JCE. And if you do that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're a new customer, a novice, a virgin, if you will, at the art of DraftKings Sportsbook betting, when you bet $5, you're not only going to get $250 in bonus bets, you're going to get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium on them at no cost to you. You pay nothing. And Brian, everybody knows what NFL Plus Premium is, don't they?
That is indeed true. Thank you for putting me on the spot, Jim. In fact, you were just telling me all about it before the show. Why don't you tell it to the listeners?
Well, I'll tell you, it's the NFL, and it's even more than that, because that's why they plus it, and it's a premium thing that you normally have to pay for, but you will not pay for it now because DraftKings will pay for it. When you bet $5 of your own money, they're going to give you $250 in bonus bets and a month of the NFL Plus Premium to enjoy and savor as all NFL fans would do. I would think that would be a fair statement, right? If you're a fan of the NFL, you want this premium stuff, don't you?
I think this would be a nice deal for any fan of the NFL, correct?
Well, and then you'll win some money so you can go to Australia and give it all to AEW.
There are no guarantees. There are no guarantees. We shouldn't make any guarantees.
Well, it's a guarantee if you go to Australia, you're going to give some of your money to AEW because they're charging you for drinks, they're charging you for tickets, they're charging you for all the merchandise. And DraftKings is pretty much your only hope of going and winning enough money to attend such a high-priced function. So if you want to be farting through silk, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be shitting in tall cotton, well, then all you got to do is go and download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the code JCE. New customers, $250 in bonus bets and the NFL Plus Premium for a month when you bet $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Brian, the crown is ours now because we have spread that knowledge.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
If you're a new customer or you're a former customer, well, I guess then that leaves out the people who are not ever going to be customers, right? So that wouldn't be everybody.
I don't know, but of course, everybody has the opportunity with DraftKings. The crown is yours.
You got the opportunity to make more money than you've ever made in your life.
That's right, DraftKings, NFL Week 1. Bet on it with the official betting partner of the Jim Cornette Experience, DraftKings.
All right, well, before we talk about the invasion of Germany, we have to mention that just heard this morning on the internet. Sonny King passed away, 79 years old, and we'll talk about that in a second. That surprises me, but is this part of a curse with our show? Every time we tell a story about somebody, something bad happens to them.
Well, again, this is a little different. I forget what even brought it up recently. We talked to
It was talking about
Mid-South.
Buddy Landell and
Yeah.
Mid-South. And then, it went into the problems that they had. But
and that was the tail end of his career. And that's important to note because
that was the end of his career. That was 84 was his last year.
yeah, I think that may have been the last place he worked, actually.
And that's why I was saying, because that's 40 years ago. That means he was 39 years old. Sonny King
That's
never
insane. Wow.
exactly. He never changed appearance, and he had such a intimidating look and demeanor to him when he wanted to that you didn't really have an age for him. But his career was over as in part with what we'll talk about, the attack that he suffered in North Carolina. But he was only 39 years old. And he was done. But he had a lengthy career before that and was on top in all kinds of places. It was 1971 that he and Jay Strongbow were the WWF Tag Team Champions, right?
That's right.
And he worked on top in the Carolinas in the early 70s. Well, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, you never think of him as a Northeast wrestler. And there he is.
Well, and I'm not sure, truthfully and honestly, how he broke in, who trained him, what his early career was like. But that was the first time that people in the magazines or people reading the magazines, would have heard of Sonny King. But then, as I said, he worked in the Carolinas on top. He main evented with Johnny Valentine when Valentine came into territory. He was big in the Louisiana part of Leroy McGurk's territory before it became Mid-South. And he was in and out of Memphis territory because he got to be, Jerry Jarrett thought the world of him, and they got to be good friends. And he was, I guess, from 1978 until 1982 would have been his last run here, only 4 years, but he was here a lot of that period of time, both as a heel wrestler and a heel kind of wrestler manager for Joe LeDuc and Jean-Louis, who was the hangman, Neil Guay.
It's always my favorite name.
Jean-Louis.
Well, no, specifically Lance Russell, like Joe LeDuc and Jean-Louis. It's just that.
Yeah, but they spelled it because at first they were spelling it like Louis, like you would in French, right? But then all the fans were reading it in the newspaper ad and started calling him John Lewis. So then they started spelling it John Louis, Louie, like Huey, Dewey, and Louie. And here's this giant 325-pound bearded guy. Well, there's John Louis. So but that was French to the fans in Tennessee, But anyway, he was a manager for them, and then he came back a while later as a babyface, and he worked a lot as partners with Ricky Morton. Ricky Morton loved him because, we've talked about especially the last couple of years of Sonny's career and how it, physically and in the ring, he was difficult to work with, not attitude-wise, but just his style was very unorthodox. And he had lost a few steps by that point. But he was a very intelligent guy, and he'd been in the business and worked on top in a variety of places. So he taught Ricky a lot about psychology and how things worked in other territory, things like that. And as the reason why Jarrett wanted them as partners was because he had high hopes for Ricky Morton, and he wanted him to be able to learn. So he would team him up with guys like Sonny King, and then Tojo had a part play early in Ricky's career, and then Ken Lucas, because the veteran could teach. But anyway, Ricky loved Sonny. But
wasn't it that angle when Ricky was teaming with Big Red? Because I always felt so bad for Big Red. It was such a sympathetic thing where they just knock him to the ground and just tie him so he can't get up.
Yeah.
And then just beat the crap out of Ricky Morton. It was Sonny King and Tojo.
Yes. And there's Big Red was all, if he was down without being tied up, he was almost immobile, right? So he couldn't get up when he was tied with a shoestring or whatever. But that was, I spent the day with Sonny and Ricky in Memphis one time after TV, just taking pictures. I have great pictures of them with the bridge over the river and behind them and on Beale Street and all kind of shit that we just did for the magazine. But that was the thing. Sonny, as I said, he worked on top most of the places he went for the first 10 years of his career. And in the 70s, he was a better athlete. But I think, honestly, he had a boxing background, too, so he would, incorporate that. But it was just a very unorthodox style that he had. And I think his literate, low-key promo and just his demeanor and look, and he looked like Isaac fucking Hayes, and that didn't hurt in the 70s. I think that's what got him over in a lot of places. And he was 6'3" and 250, and in shape at a time when that was not as commonplace as it is today.
When you see him in Mid-South in '84, if you had told me he was 45 years old, I would have said, okay, I believe that easily.
Yeah, because of how he'd been like I said, in 1971, he's already in magazines, WWF champion. So 13 years later, and he always looked like a grown adult.
And he shaved in '84, so he looked like, somehow that made him look older than when he had facial hair.
And we're not talking about a shaved head. He was always bald, but the beard. He had a beard for a while. And like you said, it made him look older when he shaved his beard off. But anyway, I guess the thing we talked about, the incident, or mentioned a minute ago, and we've talked about this before, you tried to find the promo on YouTube, and of course, of all things, it's not there, but the best promo that Sonny ever did came off, again, of a real-life thing, and this is pretty much what finished his career and him being that young, because when he tried to come back, it wasn't the same. As I said, Sonny had worked in North Carolina, and he was visiting there. I'm trying to remember. I think was he working here, or had he just gone somewhere else? He spent some time in Florida too, but that was earlier in the 70s.
He definitely wasn't working there in Mid-Atlantic when it happened.
No, but I'm saying, was he working here? I'm trying to think. But the point is, he had gone to the Carolinas to visit, just on a vacation or for some reason, and there was a show in Charlotte at the old Coliseum, and he went to visit some of the boys, right? And I've talked about how that, especially a big crowd or whatever, the back door of the Coliseum, the guys had to go right to the side parking lot and get in their car, and if the fans were out there, you needed cops, whatever, and they would come to the back door also, the fans try to get in. And so there was one, I can picture the classic old security guard at the Charlotte Coliseum, but there was one guard at one of the back doors, and some drunk guys were trying to push their way in and get in free, and he was trying to hold them back. And Sonny's just standing back there watching the fucking matches and sees this and goes to help the guard. And one of these guys ends up having a knife and stabbing him. I don't know how many fucking times, but one of them actually pierced his heart, right? So obviously this became a big news story amongst in the wrestling business. And I don't know, I can't even remember the date of that. I don't know how long he was out, but it was months and months and months. And, that's kind of, fan interaction you had in the Carolinas back in those days. But anyway, finally, the best angle they ever did, as I said, Sonny was good friends with Jerry Jarrett, and Jerry brought him back as a babyface, and it was probably spring '82-ish. Am I close?
I think that's about right, yeah.
And basically had Sonny come out and do an interview and tell the story of how that he got stabbed and it punctured his heart. And this sounds like a Meltzer Shapoopy deal, but this was the truth, and it actually can happen. They did open heart surgery on him, and the scar was like, Jesus Christ, it was all the way down his chest and stomach. And they actually, the doctor held his heart in his hand and massaged it as they were repairing and doing whatever the fuck they needed to do. And he tells this whole story in that accent he's got. He was from Louisiana, and he had kind of that accent and also that matter-of-fact voice. And then he said the reason why that he was coming back to wrestling was for his son, Larry. Because he did have a son named Larry, and he was a nice kid. He'd probably be 45 years old now or whatever. But he used to bring him to the matches sometime. And Sonny's license plate, back when nobody had a vanity plate back in those days, was Larry. And he did this promo about how he wanted his son to see him wrestle again and blah, blah, blah. So he's coming back and he's doing this for Larry. And that registered, right? And I mean, it didn't sell out to Mid-South Coliseum, but it was the best, one of the best usages of a real life tragedy that wasn't in bad taste that I've ever seen in wrestling. And, you know, but the problem is at that point, just, I don't know how else it might have affected him, but his in-ring was, it wasn't there anymore. And then the reason why he got the spot in Louisiana was not only because Dog had left and they tried everybody else, right, as we've talked about, but Sonny was from Louisiana. I'm pretty sure was living there at the time, and Dundee was booking, and Dundee knew him from Memphis and thought, well, let's try and see if Sonny can do anything anymore. And it didn't work. But yeah, it's amazing that he was only 39 years old at that time.
Well, there it is, Sonny King. And again, shocking about how young he was. You say that about someone who dies in their 70s, but still, you would have thought he was a lot older.
Well, yeah, because he was on top in Madison Square Garden in 1971, 72. That's 52. He would have been 26, 27. So that is, amazing and something you don't think about. And because of that incident, his career ended right about the time of home video really exploding. And then 1984 comes and boom, boom, boom. And by that time, he's done.
The other thing is everyone looks younger now. Everyone dresses younger. It used to be like you grew up and then you started dressing like an adult. And like the rock stars got to wear whatever they wanted.
Well, but what about people's faces? I mean, they weren't, back in those days, people weren't taking a stick to other people's faces. Just, here, ugly you up. Boom, boom, boom. And they looked more mature and older and, more stentorian looking type of visages. I'm using large words and phrases. But now everybody looks like they're fucking 12. You have a brain surgeon, looks like a goddamn Boy Scout. The fuck? My new doctor's a little too energetic, I think, for his own good.
Why do you say that?
Well, he's always happy. I don't want happy I want serious doctors. Anyway, and whatever happened to Sonny, we send our condolences out. I guess we should wrap that up. But anyway, I want to make a plea here before we go any further. I want, and Brian, you can help me out. What do the kids call them? If you email me, but you don't want your real name to be read on the air, send it from your burner account. Is that the thing the kids say?
No, they don't say that. They say send $50.
No. I want people. No, here's the thing. I want, and they can send it to. Well, if they send it to corny, what's the drive-through email? Because I'll never see them.
cornydrivethrough@gmail.com.
All right, cornydrivethrough@gmail.com. And then you'll see them and you'll send them to me. And you don't have to reveal your real name. I want working industry professionals.
What is happening? What are you talking about?
No, I'm putting out a plea, a public plea here. Email that corny drive-through, whatever the fuck that Brian just said.
At gmail.com.
There you go. And it's CORNY. There's no E in corny. Right? You didn't put an E in there, did you?
Of course not. There's
Not
no
supposed
E in
to
corny.
be.
No.
Well, I didn't know whether you were on the same page or not. If you're a professional wrestler right now in this goddamn business, I want to make up an assumed email address or ExpressVPN or whatever you need to do.
Or be a man.
Well, if you want to have your name read and attached to your goddamn opinion, then you can say that too, and we'll, by God, tell them how you feel. But I want somebody to explain to me how these people are thinking about the forearm exchange. Because I talked to recently an industry professional who is noted for training talents. And I'm not going to mention his name because he still trains talents. And I don't want to get any heat on him.
Is it Johnny Rods?
No, Johnny and I haven't spoken in several months. But I said, when the kids come to you or the young people come to you or whatever, these aspiring wrestlers or existing indie wrestlers that are trying to get better, how do they explain why they're doing the fake forearm exchange? Case in point, the other night in AEW when Hangnail Page and Ishii did 85 forearms back and forth to each other to start the fucking match. They all look fake. If they connect, it's one of those deals where it looks like shit and it hurts. They don't sell them. It's repetitive. What everybody does is, so you're violating tons of cardinal rules. It looks like phony shit in a wrestling match, so that's bullshit there. It's what everybody else is doing, so it doesn't stand out. It's so fucking tired. Why? What are they seeing when they do this and they watch their match back on video and they're not embarrassed and they're not cringing and they're not, oh my God, I did that in front of people? And he can't explain it. He said, because they did it in Japan. But when they did it in Japan, they were really pounding the fuck out of each other. And besides, it was in Japan, which is a whole different goddamn culture. And so I would like, if any industry insiders out there want to email us and tell us, what is it that when they come back through the curtain and they've got a smile on their face because they have either forearmed each other 87 times and didn't sell it and it all looked phony, or they chopped each other 114 times and all they did was blister each other's chest and stood there and let each other. What are they fucking seeing in their minds? Or if you're one of these people that does this shit, tell us what you're seeing in your fucking mind. And we'll read the best submissions on the air that can try to explain this. What, mass hysteria? What is it, Brian?
The forearms, I think, are the biggest culprit, but it's been the chops. It's been European uppercuts back and forth. It's guys standing there and doing these things back and forth, and they're doing them pretty quickly, and in doing so, barely touching the person they're doing them to. Yeah. It's obvious to the viewer. And I think it does come from Japan. And like you said, when you go watch Kenta Kobashi and Misawa and Kawada, they were really kicking the shit out of each other in those matches. They're feeling it today. The ones who are alive are feeling it today. So I'm not saying you should go in there and lay that stuff in. I'm saying just don't do any of that. Because as a viewer, I hate it. That Adam Page Ishii match was awful. And there are fans who thought it was great. In what way was it great? Like, you get away with that thing like once. Like Kenta Kobashi versus Samoa Joe was a unique moment and time. You know what I mean? Like, because Kobashi did one thing. He chopped him. That's the only thing he did the whole match, really. But it worked. It worked there because it was a special attraction making his debut in the States. But I hate it. And Moxley's been a big offender. Claudio, Ishii, Adam Page now. Everyone does it no matter what size you are. They just stand there and trade forearms.
And here, while I'm on that plea, and then we'll move on, If you are a professional wrestler by trade, and you can also explain to me why everybody is trying to block everything. Why every time somebody gets on top of somebody and they're trying to punch them, that person on the ground is covering up, is throwing their hands up in the way, is fucking, and they're windmilling around the person's head and upper torso without landing on anything. Looking like a goddamn girl fight.
Is that a case you think of people thinking that Vince McMahon was right for some reason? Because that's a Vince thing, isn't it?
No, Vince's thing was in the corner. If you back a guy in a corner and he grabs the top rope, as you see people do, and holds it with both hands while he's being choked or he's being punched, then Vince would have a fucking epileptic fit. Says, God damn it! Look how phony that is, because the guy's still holding the rope and waiting to be shot off or whatever. He wanted you to try to grab the hands around the throat. He wanted you to try to fucking pull him off if it was a choke, or if the guy hits you in the gut, you sell your gut by holding it, and then he hits you in the fucking face. And oh my gosh, you sell that, he kicks you in the gut again. So he's opening you up, and you're opening yourself up to him, but you're still reacting to it. But no, this is, well, and the same thing with every time if you can't throw something in a working way so a guy that knows what he's doing can take it without trying to block it or getting potatoed, then don't do that move. But they're always putting their hands up on kicks and things. We were always instructed back in the days before electricity, and I got a lot of this from Bobby Eaton, because he hated when people covered up for his shit, because there was so little margin for error that he would potato you. If you threw your hand up, he'd punch your hand into your face, right? Or if you tried to cover up or flinch on an elbow drop or a leg off the top, it would drive your own arm into your own face under his leg because he had you, right? So when you open up and a guy can throw shit at you, at your head, he's got your hair in his left hand and he's punching you in the face because he's sitting on your arms, then if he potatoes you, it's his fault because you're open up for him. But if you're flinching and covering up and everything, then your shit looks like shit, and so does his. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So tell me, why the fuck is everybody just goddamn curling up in a ball these days, so they're just windmilling around the general area of a motherfucker you're trying to be kicking a shit out of while you're at it? Tell me the reasoning behind that.
And if you want to do MMA, go do MMA.
What the fuck has MMA got to do with this?
I think a lot of these guys see MMA and think they have to incorporate that kind of stuff into pro wrestling.
Well, goddamn. There's a time when you should be fighting for your life, yes, but there's a time when you need to let the fucking heel get some heat on you. So that is part of the art. You're not just standing there daring a guy to punch you in the face and over again. You are actively trying and failing to cover yourself up while a fucking guy's kicking a shit out of you. That's the fucking point. You need to look like you're trying to avoid it while opening yourself up at the same fucking time. Instead of just, whatever. Anyway, don't get me started. You know why you shouldn't get me started, Brian?
Because you'll never finish?
No, well, that's part of the reason. It gives me the sour belches. It gives me an upset stomach. Granny's got the sour belches. It gives me an upset stomach. I start burping and percolating. And it's all because, it gets in my gut, sticks in my craw, as Mama Cornette used to say. And when you got bad gut health, well, fuck, that's just screwing your whole body up. Do you know that good gut health can not only help with digestion and regularity, but it makes your skin look better. You'll have that glow. People will think you're pregnant. Because of good gut health.
Well, again, not necessarily, but let's focus on the inside, the gut health.
Your gut has 38 trillion different bacteria or bacteria that live in and or on you, actually all over your body. 38 trillion bacteria, but most of them are in your gut. And apparently many of these are essential to whole body health, and that's why our friends over at Seed have come out with the DS-01 Daily Synbiotic that benefits your gut, your skin, and your heart health in just 2 capsules a day. I mean, this is not stuff, it's not like they've poured coffee grounds into something that you got to take 6 spoonfuls of. You just pop these pills. Most of our audience is familiar with popping pills. The 2 capsules.
No, let's not say that. Let's not. I don't even know why you would say such a thing. That's not true.
Many of them are on medication to regulate something or other that they've got going on.
Who's to say what is many? Let's not say many. Let's say there are certainly, because of the size of the audience, some people out there who, may have the need for help.
Maybe taking medicine on a regular basis. Oh, let's say 90% or whatever.
Let's not say that. That's ridiculous. No.
But I'll tell you what, you don't know how many trillion of those bacteria you got in your gut are turning on you right now. And that's why Seed's patented capsule and capsule design means that all 24 strains of the bacteria that is encapsulated in these capsules survive the journey down your throat and through all these things and into your gut, where it can grow and prosper, sort of like your own septic tank. And your gut is your septic tank. It gets rid of all of the effluvia out into the atmosphere, so they say, out the drain pipe, you might say, and keeps it clean and organized in there. So you don't even know how your septic tank works, do you?
I don't think anyone's saying any of these things that you say that people are saying. So let's talk about what they're saying about Seed.
Let's talk about what they're saying. Customer testimonials. 87% of members feel more in control of their whole body health when they start DS-01. 3 out of 4 members say it's the most important supplement they take. 81% of members feel less sluggish after meals. You know how when you finish stuffing yourself like a competitive eater on the 4th of July, and you're laying there and you go, Maud, can you just bring me one more piece of cake? Well, you won't feel like that anymore. And 3 out of 4 members reported an improvement in regularity. After taking DS-01, 1 out of 4 members reported needing new underwear on a regular basis.
There's no underwear report. That's not true.
92% of members have recommended DS-01 to a friend or family member. The other 8% have suddenly, for whatever reason, become orphans.
No, but what is that? How does that work? How does that even tie into this?
It's just a statistic that they gave me. But I'll tell you what you can do right now, folks. You can support your gut this summer. That's what you can do. Prop it up, baby. It needs all the help it can get. With the way you're going to eat this summer, you need something in there trying to rot away the bad stuff and propagate the good stuff. And that's what Seed's DS-01 Daily Synbiotic is going to be. 2 little capsules and your stomach won't mutiny on you. That's another thing. Summertime is the most prevalent season for projectile diarrhea. So just think about that.
That's another statistic that is not here, that has just come out of Jim Cornette's ass. I don't know where that's come from.
Well, no. That came straight from the Department of Fecal Philiacs in Zurich, Switzerland.
The projectile diarrhea?
Yes, it's common. That happens in the summer. People get a little bit sweatier. But again, you can support your gut by going to Seed, SEED, seed.com/JCE, and use this code 25JCE, and you're going to get 25% off of your first month's Seed DS-01, 25% off with the code 25JCE at seed.com/JCE. Yeah, that's just to weed out all of the fucking effluvia there. They want you to get down to the meat of the matter with all these codes and
not the meat of the matter, the seed of the matter.
The seed of the matter. Yes, you got to write this down. Seed.com/JCE, code 25JCE. 59 left, 62 right, 12 left,
Seed.
and it opens.
Seed.
Seed.com. All righty then. Should we talk about Smackdown? That'll take about 3 to 5 minutes.
Should we or will we?
Well, we will just so everybody will understand what went on Saturday when they bashed Berlin in. Again, they're in the same building 2 nights in a row. And they've got, they didn't actually say they were sold out for Smackdown on August 29th in Berlin. They said 12,000 plus. And I think the place held 13,000. So point is they sold 25,000 tickets in the same city in 2 days. Plus, got paid, as we're now understanding. It happens for these premium events from the German government in some fashion, the tourism, because they have great drone aerial shots of Berlin, boy. I'll tell you what, you wouldn't think that the place had been bombed in the last century. But they're charging people's firstborn sons for tickets. How much money do you think they made just at the gate and merchandise in 2 nights in Berlin?
The way those people were singing and dancing, they were happy to be there.
I know, they were jumping up and down to the point where, and this is a wrestler's dream when you go into, they used to call it virgin territory, where wrestling had been dark for a while and there'd been no live events. And then the fans get to come back out. And if you got a good show, they'd go batshit because they hadn't seen anything in so long. Well, these people see shit on TV, but they don't get to see it live that often. And they went batshit. And even the TV audience pretty much saved a lot of this because it was a go-home show where they were already sold out and money's guaranteed mostly anyway. People had made up their minds, so they're filling fucking time. But because of the crowd, they could fill the time by watching the crowd react to simple shit. And LA Knight was first one out, got a huge pop, and a huge LA Knight chant. Had a big pop for a "Let me talk to you." And all he had to say was, hey, it's been 27 years since the last time we did TV in Berlin, and then milk the chance. And then he mentioned that he won the U.S. title, and they cut him off again. They wouldn't let him get his promo out. They were chanting, "You deserve it." So this was like, he just mentioned the topic, and they would chant or sing about it. Am I over-exaggerating this?
No, and again, we've seen this from these international crowds. They're so excited to be there for WWE that it's nonstop. The singing, the dancing, the chanting.
And the most flimsy reason for he's decided, since he defended in the U.S. Capitol last week, he's going to defend the U.S. title in Germany's capital this week, and he calls out anybody. And here comes Ludwig Kaiser. And now I'm fucking interested. Because now they're blowing again. He's a home country. I mean, I'm not generalizing Germany into one town, but he's from Germany. And he's part of Gunther's deal, who's in the main event. They love him. So this is now, they're fucking going batshit, who normally would be a job guy coming out or somebody we don't give a shit about. And he speaks German to him and gets a bigger pop. And then puts himself over and cuts a hell of a promo. And they start chanting, "Ludwig Kaiser." They chant with an accent. And then LA Knight cut a hell of a promo. And they chanted, "LA Knight, yeah." So they just, like, yes, they're all going to fight. And they have a match. And for the U.S. title. And they cheered, especially at the start, most everything that LA Knight did, but it was the dueling chants and the Ludwig Kaiser chants. And both these guys can work. So the match was good, but the crowd was making it better. And even at one point, instead of LA Knight, I think, figured out he's got to kind of be the heel. instead of doing the heads on the table at that point, he cut him off with a belly to back on the apron. And then every time Ludwig Kaiser would do something, they would blow. And at one point they were chanting something because it's in German. I don't know what the fuck. But the dueling Ludwig Kaiser chants, and LA Knight did the heads into the table and still got over. And they go back and forth at the going into the finish. I love the name. Ludwig Kaiser did the thing where he does the fireman's carry and then does a forward flip and looks like it potatoes the fuck out of your stomach. And they call it the Kaiser roll. Apparently you didn't share the same fucking enthusiasm for that I did.
I mean, he's a heel. You're naming his move after a
after a succulent bun.
Yeah.
But anyway, at that point, boom, when he hit the Kaiser roll and covered, it was a 2 count, but they were 1, 3. They were counting with it. And it got a big pop, and then LA Knight hit a move and they booed. And then when he hit the BFT, they groaned. And they counted 1, 2, 3 and applauded calmly. If Kaiser had won, they would have blown the fucking roof off. But they didn't want to boo LA Knight, so they kind of, okay, we guess we knew he was going to win all the time, but we had hope for a minute. Does that sound more like Sweden?
You and these accents, you're not good at this.
Well, Sweden's right next to Germany, isn't it?
You're not good at geography either.
Well, why do they both wear short pants?
In what, movies?
Well, yeah, you got the German guy in the short pants and the Swedish guy in the short pants.
Jim, it's not always Oktoberfest.
Well, whatever festival they have, if they're not next door to each other, well, why have they adopted that same fashion?
The Otto Vons look?
Yes, with the suspenders too.
Like a little schoolboy, just happens to be gigantic.
I'm a little schoolboy that weighs 424 pounds. But anyway, that was the first match on SmackDown. And would you care to comment on it for your own?
I don't really think there's too much to add to that. It was fine for what it was, a fine open to the show. Really, the story was the location and the fans.
And we're going to skip most of the bleh, because there was some bleh. In the Bloodline video, they had kind of a history package with Solo's dirty deeds, talking about taking out Jay, my brother, and Paul, the wise man, and Roman Reigns.
It was Jimmy, his brother.
Or Jimmy, his brother. Well, they're twins.
But he didn't take out Jay, he took out Jimmy.
Well, how do we know? Could be like with Nikki and Brie. Are they Swizitching?
Again, stop with this. No, but they have different haircuts.
Well, they could have a stylist back there changing thing. We don't know no one will ever know for sure. But taking out Jimmy and taking out Paul and taking out Roman, he dates around. And then he said he wants either Cody or Owens to Solo, whoever wins this thing in Berlin. And that's basically the Bloodline update. And then at the 9 o'clock hour, they had Aldis in the ring and pitching to the European tour video. I think that's probably part of the tourism package that they got. Holy shit. But it made the guys look like big stars. They're all over the world. And then basically Aldis introduces Owens and Cody and says, okay, gentlemen, the floor is yours, and hands them the microphone and gets the fuck out of the ring. Which... What?
He's doing a good job. It's not as chaotic as Adam Pearce's Raw.
Oh, now what? Are you taking Aldis's side now against Adam Pearce? Like, you got a dog in the hunt here?
I think when you look at who's running a more orderly show, Nick Aldis is the winner.
I'm saying it's a bit awkward. It's just, okay, well, now that I've called you guys out here, you take over. And just why nevertheless, it's. Then Owens and Cody had their thing. And honestly, I thought, boy, this is going to be boring or whatever the fuck. This was one of the better things they've done. And I'll tell you why I say that so you can be jotting down all the reasons you can disagree with me. Owens started out with, well, so Cody, what do you want to talk about? And Cody was firing the people up, but Owens had kind of a pissy attitude for a babyface, but you can't really tell the difference in working in real life with him having a pissy attitude for a babyface. But Owens brought up, well, do you want to talk about what happened to your knee on the tour? Or what are you talking about? I wanted to talk about if you meant to hit me with the belt last week, like some people said that they thought you might be gonna. And Owens I can't believe you'd think that of me. But then they vaguely alluded, for the really deep cut fan out there, they vaguely alluded to Owens being the one that hooked Cody up with the Buckaroos for their temporary friendship to start AEW. But then Cody got the fans to cheer for Owens, and Owens again said, I know you're hurt. So if you're not 100%, I don't want to win that way, kind of like was his. And Cody started to get pricklish. What do you mean you're going to win that way? And Cody said, my knee is fine. Well, how come you didn't take a knee on your entrance? He heard that Cody was in a trainer's room for a long time. And Owens said, when I won 8 years ago, my win was tainted. And so therefore, when I beat you tomorrow, and Cody finally is a little pissed, when you beat me, and then Cody, this is what I loved. I love two things about this. They introduced the knee thing to at least give us something to, as Jim Ross used to say, hang our hat on. Is this going to come into play, or this is how he's going to turn on him, or what will happen with Cody, blah, blah, blah. And secondly, Cody cut a hell of a promo on Owens, while at the end of it saying, I love you, dude. It was a great babyface promo. So then finally, and I'll open the floor for you to tear it up, Cody said, when it's over, will we still be friends? And Owens dropped the microphone and whispered something to Cody and walked out on him. And again, I'm interested more than I was in this babyface match because they gave me a little something to sweeten it up a bit. What'd you think?
I thought it was just fine. Again, a little bit more backstory, and the knee thing played into the match, so that was a nice little thing. On this topic, let me ask you
I thought you'd tear it up because Cody got dramatic and Shakespearean in his.
He always does. You got to pick your spots.
All right.
But let me ask you this. Word has, a rumor is going around that Kevin Owens' contract is coming up again. I think it's about 3 years ago or so that we talked about the last time he signed with WWE. How much money's Tony Khan going to throw at him if that's true?
Oh, good Lord. He'll never work again. He'll retire on what Tony will give him this time. Hold on now.
Because he needs WWE stars, not WWE veterans or anything.
Well, but is the offer going to be before or after the new TV deal is announced? Because that could play a part. You never know in how much money Tony's throwing around. But with Owens being friends with the Buckaroos from way back, and yes, he is a guy that the WWE has been using on top, but you know where his mental sentiments lie with the indie-rific crowd, and that's his brand of wrestling that he'd be doing if he had his druthers. So, yeah, for $5 or $6 million. And I'll be first one to tell you that right now, Kevin Steen would be more valuable to AEW and a more entertaining asset to the television than Okada, Mercedes, and fucking 2 or 3 other recent acquisitions not named Osprey together.
He wouldn't be able to be Kevin Owens anymore. He would have to go back.
No, that's why I said Kevin Steen.
Yeah.
But it's not like anybody's going to mistake nobody else looks like that. It's the goddamn blinding flab alone.
Should he just be Kevin?
No, he shouldn't. No, he shouldn't.
Here's Kevin.
Kevin. But anyway, and you know that's all they needed to get a little interest going in this thing, because it's been unorthodox, but they made it work. And as we'll get to when we get to the bash itself, I'll save it for that, because I'm going to talk about the psychology that this match, though. I will preface with this, and then later on we'll come back. This match illustrated what I try to talk about and possibly don't articulate as well as I could about why that their babyface versus babyface matches in AEW are fucking stupid and do neither side any good involved in it, because of the psychology that they don't use versus the psychology that Owens and Cody used. But we'll save that for the bash here in a minute. But otherwise, on SmackDown, Andrade wrestled Carmelo for a very long time. And to be quite honest, young Harley Quinn came up to me and wanted to go out, and I forgot to hit pause, and I wasn't sufficiently engrossed in it to fucking go backwards and start again when I came back in and realized my error. Did I miss anything?
Lucha action. No, you didn't miss anything.
Lucha! And then the main event was Mia Yim versus Refrigerator Jax in a street fight. Weapons galore, anything goes, lazy booking. And when I saw Mia wheeling a shopping cart filled up with a garbage can, a kendo stick, and a chair to the ring, I said, oh, hell no. And I terminated my viewing of this program. Did I make the right choice?
Yeah, I think you're fine. And that was SmackDown.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what.
Well,
yes.
One last thing. I was kind of surprised. I'm forgetting the date now. Maybe the 18th or something. I was surprised they're moving to USA like right now. It snuck up on me how quick we're there, but they're like in the last episode or two on Fox.
They're doing to what? Who now?
SmackDown. They're going to USA.
Oh, shit, that's right.
Like right now, like in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Oh, shit. Well, can we Googlefy that? Because I need to... They just gave me a new DVR box in the bedroom, but I need to change the TV room also. Because that...
I explained it fine the first time. You said, who did what now? What?
Well, no, this is September, and it has the goddamn year's almost over.
Wow, September 13th, 2024 is the first SmackDown on USA Network.
Friday the 13th. My mama done told me. Friday that they better hope they're not superstitious. Or actually, they better not. But they better not be superstitious. They shouldn't hope they're not superstitious, because they wouldn't have, if they're not superstitious, they wouldn't have to hope that, would they?
If they're superstitious, they get a license to Stevie Wonder song, or maybe even the Jeff Beck song.
Well, the 13-month-old baby who broke the looking glass means that they're going to be on USA for 7 years. Is that what you're saying now?
Did I say that?
Starting September, 7 years of bad luck.
Oh, I guess so. Well, that's SmackDown.
Well, now hold on now. So let's recap this, because I got to figure out how I'm going to be watching all this shit. Now, SmackDown is just switching over to USA on September 13th, right? And that's a clean. That's where they're going to be for a while. It's just a clean jump.
That means the next episode is the last Fox episode.
Oh boy, I bet they'll bleep everything. But Raw, NXT is going to CW instead of being on USA.
I think that's October.
That's in October.
And I want to check out the first few episodes of that to see what they do, because they're taking them on the road. I know they're in Chicago with Punk, and then St. Louis with Randy Orton.
Yes.
I want to see what the tone of the show is going to be.
Well, and also one would think you'll have that atmosphere with Punk in Chicago and St. Louis. Besides Randy Orton, all they can claim is Emo's Pizza. So NXT to CW in October on the 1st, and Raw is going to Netflix in January. But where's it going between now and January? Is it staying where it is?
I think they got an extension with USA Network.
They got an extension. Okay, so we're going to have wrestling on USA on the Mondays and the Fridays.
And the CW on the Tuesdays. And the TBS on the Wednesdays.
And the TBS on the Friday. And the TBS on a Saturday.
No, TNT on Saturday.
Or TNT on Saturday. Jesus Christ. I'm surprised that people have time to go to work.
Well, that was
Well, you know what? The thing is now, that's why that most people are working from home these days, Brian, because they don't have time to go to work. They wouldn't have time to watch all the wrestling programs.
There's a lot.
And that's why people have decided to just make themselves their own business. It's easy, folks. All you got to do is come up with an idea or a product or a service that you would like to perform or provide, and then you just sell that to everybody in the world. And you say, well, is it that easy? And I'm here to say, yes, it is, because we know people at Shopify. See, every time that somebody says the word Shopify, not only does an angel get its wings, but some poor sap out there makes some more money. And you don't even have to be very smart, folks. I'm talking to the stupid people out there right now. You don't even have to really have anything worth anything. If you could just figure out a good line of bullshit, Shopify is such a worldwide business platform that they'll be able to sell your bullshit. They could probably sell ice cubes to Eskimos.
Well, you could sell it using their wonderful platform.
Well, yeah, because their platform is so big, and from that bully pulpit, they can pummel the average customer into submission. They will actually, they're so big, they send bullying emails and computer pulses out to the consumer saying you better buy these products or elsewise we're going to come over and beat you up. And so instantly, when you've got these people, it's like working for Al Capone's mob in Chicago.
When
you're connected with these people.
You're not connected with anyone. It's nothing like that.
Well, you're going to be connected with Shopify because they're the #1 checkout on the planet. And they have Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%. That's another way of saying they're going to shake the marks down. And less carts are going abandoned. And way more sales are going because people are scared to abandon those carts because they know that Shopify will track them down and exact revenge. So, folks, if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are, whether they're scrolling or strolling or on the web, in your store, in their in their feed. Print is very small. Everywhere. I'm telling you, they're omnipresent. The platform that Shopify will give you is going to invade people's lives at random. And like a virus, there's nothing they can do to get them out of it.
That's not a way to look at it. That's not the way we're going to look at it. It is a wonderful service. Bring your products to a wide audience and sell them very easily with Shopify.
Yes, they will be broadcast to the most incredibly wide audience. As a matter of fact, like the old TV show The Prisoner. There was the guy, he was in the town and he couldn't escape. He couldn't get away. You'll never be able to get away from Shopify telling people about your stuff.
Well, no, let's not look at it that way. And
they'll put a virtual website hammerlock on these people and make them tap out their money to your store.
They will simply help you sell your goods online, and they will do it well. That's the Shopify way.
That's right. It's called the strong arm method. So, folks, upgrade your business.
It's not that method.
Right now. Upgrade your business. Sign up for your $1 a month trial period at Shopify.com/Cornette. All lowercase is Cornette. Even though I'm a big deal, it's in lowercase. Shopify.com/Cornette to upgrade your selling today with our friends at Shopify.com, because nobody does selling better than Shopify.
What about Ricky Morton?
Well, now they're going to start talking about he's selling like Shopify, because Ricky Morton has been replaced.
Well, Shopify, that's right. Ka-ching.
See, you can hear that again. But before we turn around because the commissar is in town and go to Berlin, what is happening in the world of the Arcadian Vanguard Network and the wrestling news this week? Is there a paywall?
No paywall for the wrestling news. Anyone can access it. The news is for you. The wrestling news is for you. And every day it is for free. Get it directly from thewrestlingnews.com or, of course, wherever you find your favorite podcasts, The Wrestling News. Want to make mention of Stick to Wrestling with John McAdam, the latest episode out right now. A look at 1984 in the AWA. A very interesting year in the AWA. Forced change and head-to-head competition. Hear about that at McAdamPod.com or available wherever you find your favorite podcast. Once again, don't forget The Wrestling News, no paywall. TheWrestlingNews.com, wherever you find your favorite podcast, as well as the 605 Super Podcast, The Mothership! Oh, man, my daughter's friends are in the house. She's going to have to explain this. I feel bad now.
Well,
go through the archive if you also feel bad. 605pod.com. Available wherever you find your favorite podcast.
Available?
I can't even talk. The Mothership.
Available?
The
Oh,
Mothership.
boy, I'll tell you, I have a feeling that your children have been having to explain your behavior around the neighborhood for quite some time. So don't.
What have you heard?
Well, there's rumors going around the town that they don't want you around.
Really?
But speaking of Berlin, as we were, and the Bash in Berlin, on August 31st at Red Letter Day, when the first big premium live event comes to the capital of Germany, soon to be coming to the capital of your country, apparently. They're going crazy with this now. And again, it was 1:00 in the afternoon here in America, but it doesn't matter because it's on the cock and you can watch it anytime you want. And they were in the same building that they were Friday night for Smackdown. Had 12,000 people Friday. This time they said 13,149. And I assumed, are they exaggerating? Because it looked fucking gigantic. I mean, the way they shot this building, it was kind of an odd shape, a very oval thing, and you could see almost everybody from their high camera with the fisheye lens or whatever. Is it still a fisheye lens these days, Brian?
Why wouldn't it be?
Well, I don't know if they've changed the terminology of everything else. I thought maybe the fish fucking lobby would have got upset.
The people who
it's not our
fish?
fault we have those eyes.
The people who fuck fish?
There's a fish fucking story. Actually, did you see that somewhere this
Led Zeppelin?
This woman was arrested here recently for having some type of sexual relations with a trout on her OnlyFans. And I don't have any more details on exactly.
That was on your news? You saw that on TV?
That was on TV somewhere. I'm trying to remember where I saw that.
Well, hopefully the fish fucking lobby can get to her and help her out. Obviously.
Well, no, it was just the fish rights lobby. I was thinking more about it. Their fish are unable to do anything about the fact that they have fish eyes. They just stare, those bulbous fish eyes. So that could be considered a goddamn, you can't say the word handicap anymore. It could be a disability to have the fish eyes. So the fish lobby would say, don't dare you ever call those lenses fisheye lenses again, because it's not the fish's fault and makes them feel bad.
Maybe so.
They have some kind of post-traumatic casting disorder.
It's the most ridiculous thing you've ever talked about ever.
I used to go fishing with my mom when I was a kid. I was a very good caster. You cast the line out there in the middle of I like to just see how far I could throw it. I didn't want to even catch anything. I just wanted to throw the.
So you were a max caster.
Yes, I was maximum caster. Anyhow, let's get back to Berlin.
Let's not. See, I was trying to get us out of Berlin.
Well, this is no longer World War II. We don't have to escape Berlin. The WWE title match was up first with Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes. And I alluded to this earlier. We talked about their promo on Smackdown. Both guys were over when they came out. It's a babyface match. I think Cody probably, especially because of he still has the luster of his newness and his, story being finished and etc. He's more popular, one would think, but these people were happy to see everybody. But he didn't take the knee on the entrance again, so the announcers could speculate on what Owens had brought up. Is his knee injured or not? He keeps denying it. And that's a great detail they put in. And then they had dueling. They shook hands like a babyface match at the start, but they were chanting in German. They were cheering. They were chanting Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes. And here's what I was going to talk about the psychology of the match. And I'm not even trying to knock Owens here. Having an old-style world championship match with no bullshit per se, and especially not to the standards of the modern era, and doing athletic spots and hitting the ropes and things, it's not Owens' strong point. He's not he's very athletic for that shape, but doing one tackle, drop down, hip toss, kickoff, arm drag, Briscoe and Funk stuff, that's not his forte. So he was trying here because Cody was trying to have a world title match with no bullshit with another wrestler where neither guy was cheating. Neither guy was the heel per se. If this had been an American crowd and they picked one side or the other, they still would have done basically the same thing. One guy may have decided to be a little subtle heel. But when I talk about the matches in AEW where suddenly two baby faces are put together with no hard feelings between them, and within 5 minutes they're out there trying to pile drive a motherfucker through a table or choke slam him onto the goddamn steel stairs and break his neck and end his career. And I'm like, why? What the fuck? Because they approach this as a show. Indie guys approach it as a show to do moves to each other so the people will pop and then, say this is awesome when they're in a rec center. And, it's all about the show, the performance that they're putting on. But this was approached as what would we do if we were really who we were purported to be? If we really claim we're friends, Cody's an honorable guy, but Owens is trying to be an honorable guy. We have no personal grudge against each other that's been, fucking no angle's been shot, no grudge has been drudged up. It's for the belt, so we're going to try to win. We're going to punch our friend in the face, but we're not going to try to break his leg and hospitalize him. And that's the way they worked this match. They were trying to do their moves to each other, and they did, but they weren't trying to break necks or end careers. They weren't doing stuff behind the referee's back. One guy wasn't just hauling off and kicking the other guy in the balls every chance he got. That's what the psychology, and they had the fans chanting, "This is awesome." And they had the fucking people popping on the 2 counts. And, and they sold things. When Cody foiled a stunner and hit the crossroads, he got a 2 count. But it wasn't just immediately covering. It was a struggle to cover. Owens hit a suplex off the top rope and struggled to cover and then got a 2 count. They were hitting their moves but they weren't cheating to do it. They were not violating the logic of who Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens were supposed to be. Have I said that correctly?
I think so, and that was a big part of the match, the whole tease of will he do something to the knee.
And that's why finally, as they were going into it, they did a big back and forth, and then Cody leaped to the top like he's going to do the disaster kick, Cody Cutter, whatever, and his knee buckled. And as he's selling it, Owens went like he's going to go for the chop block, but he stopped. He's like, because he had said, I don't want to win that way if it's going to be tainted again. And then Cody rolled out to the floor, and they're checking, but he's like, I'm okay, and he's fighting back. So Owens says, well, fuck it, then I'll kick the leg. And then he went to powerbomb him on the apron, but he wouldn't do it. He said, fuck it. And again, somebody's going to say, well, Cornette, you hate it when so-and-so wouldn't give the fucking Bengal Tiger driver 25-25 to so-and-so. And because context, again, is key. When you have a babyface being conflicted and not, when he has the chance, not delivering on a heel who has fucked with him and fucked with his possessions and said bad things about his family and is generally a prick to everybody, and the people want to see him get dropped on his head. When a babyface doesn't do that, he's a pussy. But in this case, Owens is wrestling a friend of his who, if he beats him, he didn't want to beat him if he was fucking hurt, because then it would be cheap. And Owens is a babyface too. There is where you can show conflicted emotions about, because Cody's done nothing to fucking Owens to deserve revenge, right? Over and above the Call of Duty. So he rolls Cody in and he hits him with a stunner and gets a 2 count. They go back and forth again. He hits him with another stunner, gets another 2 count. And then Owens, I believe, missed a swanton, and Cody hit the fucking crossroads. 1, 2, 3. As a matter of fact, Cody raised his knees. And Owens swantoned his bad knee and his good knee. And then Cody hit the crossroads, 1, 2, 3. But this was actually better than I expected it to be in terms of being exciting and gripping back and forth. But it was a good babyface match. And then they shook and hugged. I don't know, did they kiss? I'm not sure they kissed, but they shook hands and they hugged.
There's nothing else really to say. I mean, it was fine, right? I mean, I don't know what there is to say. It was a good match between two baby faces, no turn. Do you see that as a goodbye to Kevin Owens, or do you see that as, on to something new? And do you think this is just going to be the continuing storyline with Cody Rhodes? Every friend he has, he'll wrestle, and will it be honorable or not?
Well, I don't think it's going to be a continuing storyline where he wrestles a lot of his friends, because then that will make it normal and not special. I think if Owens' contract is up, then they got this job out of him, and it was probably one of the best ones, if not the best one they could have got, because it will mean more the way they did this if they're saying sayonara. But also, this was brilliant. If Orton is going to turn on Cody at some point for a WrestleMania or a SummerSlam or something at a stadium, then now they've done it where you thought Steen was going to, Owens, whatever, and he didn't. So now will they be able to get away with the milk again? But this time Orton would do it. See, that's what I'm saying. Well, they can look back and say, well, we thought the same thing about Owens, but he was okay. So it's just, I think it's great on a number of levels. But it's very hard to do something like that and keep it exciting, whether or not you've got the rabid crowd. And I thought they did a good job of this. But yeah, just hitting the ropes and doing fucking extended high spots is not necessarily Owens' forte, but he was trying. He was trying. But it was the story, Brian, the story that carried us through.
To the next match.
To the next match. And what was the story in the women's tag team title match between Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn?
The story was, how little can Jade actually work in the ring? How long can Jade's legs hold up while she's standing on the apron?
Well, I skipped over this because I was running low on time, ladies and gentlemen, because I was in the middle of a fucking snake disposal.
Can I say one thing? Not to say Jade Cargill is, Ric Flair, because she isn't. But it really wasn't that. It was more watching her with Bianca. Which one is the dark-haired one, Isla or Isla? That's the same person. Whichever one, the dark-haired one, I thought she was working really AEW level almost, like really sloppy. So that was my impression.
Well, and basically they're still hiding Jade, as they should be, until, they pull the trigger on whatever they're doing with these two. But anywho, I skipped over that so that I could have a fresh drink, nice ice cold Sprite Zero, sat down to watch the strap match. Because we've been waiting on this one. Both men fastened together, left wrist to left wrist with a leather strap. And Drew McIntyre, he made his entrance, all the pomp and pageantry, and then, like Mussolini in Germany, I'm wondering if it gets over in Germany, or does it hit a nerve when they say, like Mussolini?
Very interesting. I hadn't thought of that point.
I'm wondering if they enjoy that part of the song.
What happens when they go to Italy?
Well, I bet they'd enjoy it even less when all these people, they probably don't really remember Mussolini personally.
Maybe they've seen the photos.
Well, he was in all the papers. But I'm wondering if maybe Grandma or Grandpa might not appreciate mentions of Mr. Mussolini. Nevertheless, again, they're big, it's clobbering time. Punk's over, they're cheering. That's where Michael Cole mentioned that, he's never lost a strap match, Punk. He won the OVW title in a strap match. So they've opened up on references. And also, I heard several times people being referred to as professional wrestlers by the announcers, for whatever that's worth. But anyway, on this strap match, as soon as Punk gets up on the apron, and he's not even gotten the ring yet, McIntyre, boom, from behind, knocks him to the floor and jumpstarts it, and drops him on the German desk and gets some heat in the ring, and gets the strap and starts whipping Punk. And then Drew put the strap on himself and Punk. And I guess that's the way they do it these days, but the only detail, the referee didn't actually hook him up at one point. The referee didn't actually hook them or strap them in, so to speak. They could let go of the strap. It used to be there was a buckle and you could buckle it on, but nevertheless, Drew put the strap on himself and Punk and started whipping the shit out of him again. And here's where what did you think about the lights in the corners? It was nice for a visual, I guess. In each corner had a red light and a green light. So McIntyre was red, Punk was green. If they touched the corner, it would light up as a visual illustration to people. But I guess in a building that big, you almost do need something for the people way in the back, because they wouldn't have been able to see the touching behind the back things and all the other stuff.
But they count along. I thought it was a nice visual. Nothing wrong with it.
But somebody needed to be a little quicker on the switch before they got the hang of it. Because right at the start, there was a little delay on the thing. But anyway, so boom, boom, boom. He's kicking the shit out of Punk, and out of nowhere, Punk hits the GTS and starts whipping McIntyre. And then they went back and forth. And again, a spot I love is when Punk tries to pull out a table and McIntyre stops him and puts the table back under the ring. I love taking the table away from people as a heel move because they just. Anyway, at one point, I guess it looked like Punk got hard-weighed over the left eye a little bit, and McIntyre worked on it. And then they went back and forth again with the old strap spots. If one guy was in charge and the other guy got a chance to pull him into the ring post or whatever, they would do it. And then, Punk pulled the table out again and set it up, but McIntyre hit the Claymore. And then he was sold and finally got up and hit 3 turnbuckles, but Punk drug him into a chair that he had set up in the corner. And they're chanting CM Punk. And so finally that, at least if they were going to do it, this is a new one for the table. The table's sitting there at ringside, and they're in the ring, and Punk goes for his bulldog, and McIntyre just scoops him up and drops him over the top rope through that table. So at least you didn't see that come until the end. I haven't seen that one before. Have you?
I don't think so.
And it makes more sense than this other shit where they're hanging on and teeter-tottering, but nevertheless, then they started doing the spot where McIntyre picked Punk up over his back and he would touch a buckle, but as he turned, Punk would touch it. And so both the lights would go on, and they did the second buckle the same, and then the third buckle the same, and then they started fighting to the fourth buckle. And how closely were you listening to the commentary where they explained the rules?
I can't say I was listening terribly close to the commentary about the rules.
Well, I mean, when they were breaking the count or whatever, because I saw a couple people on Twitter were confused, like, what the fuck?
I mean, they definitely, I think, indicate, well, actually, now that I think about it, they may not have said that you're allowed to do something to the downed opponent and not lose your place because you're the person in charge at that moment.
Well, or they may have said it like that where nobody would fucking be able to figure out what it meant.
Exactly.
Yes, but the way we always explained it was if your opponent strikes an offensive blow, it stops your count. So in other words, if I pickle you and you're down and I go and I touch 1 buckle and 2 buckles and 3 buckles, and I can come over and kick you in the head and go to the 4th buckle, but if I come over and you punch me in the stomach, that clears my fucking turnbuckles. See what I'm saying? Offensive move clears the fucking count of the guy that has the count going. So when they were struggling to number 4 and they started fighting again, it reset everything. Which we were saying they weren't going to do that finish, but we didn't say they weren't going to do it as a fucking spot. So then they had a big staggering 1-2 hockey fight type of thing, double kick. Punk got the sharpshooter and McIntyre both tapped out and grabbed the ropes, but neither one counted. So when McIntyre passed out, Punk got 2 turnbuckles, but McIntyre stopped him. And then McIntyre pulled the bracelet out of his tights, had the AJ and Larry bracelet, and put it on his wrist and hit a Claymore and got 3 turnbuckles, but Punk pulled him into a GTS. And then Punk started to go to a buckle, but saw the goddamn bracelet and said, fuck it, and picked him up and gave him another one. And then he got 2 turnbuckles and then went back and gave him another go to sleep, and then the 3rd buckle and another go to sleep, and then took his bracelet off and went back and touched the 4th turnbuckle with the bracelet. And that's why the count did not stop in between those, because it was the guy in charge doing the offensive blows to his opponent rather than the guy that's down stopping him. So I thought it was great that, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, he hit him with his finish 4 times, 1 time pretty much for every fucking buckle. So McIntyre's got an out, and at the same time, Punk goes over, which he kind of needed to there because of the amount of that. They said that was the first WWE match he's won in 10 years. So, and then he's got to do one. He's got to win one every 10 years, I think, at this point, doesn't he?
Well, I think he'll win another one before then. My biggest problem, I like the match, but I thought it was too drawn out in between each turnbuckle. And a couple times I think Punk had more slack than he wanted to at that moment, so he had to almost make it look like he didn't.
Yeah, kind of, oh, golly, I'm straining, and there's not a lot of strain in this thing.
That's my only complaint, but I think it told a good story. And, I mean, the only thing is it almost looked like the end of the story. But I guess Drew, if he wants to... Drew can't let that go. He'll have to do something. So,
well, see, that's the thing. We don't know yet what's going to happen on Monday Night Raw because it ain't Monday night yet. But, again, you can't think that Drew McIntyre is going to let this go. But at the same time, if he had fucked Punk in this instance, then you start taking more out of Punk's bank account and as far as goodwill and his over account, then you really want to. He had to come back and show that he was going to do something. Whether that was the exclamation point on it or not remains to be seen. But I thought it was a heck of a strap match considering the modern day standards that we are living with these days for everything. But you know, Brian, there's one modern day standard that we all can live with and be proud of.
Digital porn.
Well, okay, two. The one I was going to mention was the fact that even for a very little amount of money, you can have the great artists of all music in your head at all times, where you can hear Beethoven and Brahms and Bach and Bachman Turner Overdrive and everybody in between. That's probably what Punk was doing all the way to Berlin on the plane, was listening to motivational music on his Raycon everyday wireless earbuds. I bet you he's got some. Because he's a man who likes the finer things in life, but he remembers his humble beginnings, and he doesn't want to spend a lot of money if he doesn't have to. Don't you think that these would be perfect for a man of the sensibilities of CM Punk?
I think this would be a fine addition for him and even his enemies. Maybe this could be a way to bring them together. He can gift Drew McIntyre a nice brand new pair of Raycon earbuds in English. A nice brand new pair of Raycon earbuds.
Or he could just leave you completely out of it and I'll take over from here. Because, folks, right now, the Raycon upgraded everyday earbuds. You get active noise cancellation, ergonomic design, multi-point connectivity. You can pair with two devices at once. And normally you can only do that in an adult theater after midnight. They're available in a vibrant supply of colors, a variety of vibrant new colors to complement any and all skin tones. I was not even aware that they had come up with new skin tones. But now Raycon's on top of it. If you're one of the purple people from Panama.
Purple people.
Well, they said new skin tones, new colors to complement any and all skin tones.
They're talking about new colors of headphones.
Yeah, no, earbuds.
To compliment, not to directly copy. There aren't purple.
Well,
people
what I thought
around.
I thought they were trying to camouflage them, like if it looks like your skin, like a Band-Aid. See, you know, and a lot of the minorities got screwed on Band-Aids. Because not only couldn't you hide them, it wasn't flesh colored, it stood right out. And everybody knew if you had a fucking zit or whatever.
Use a Band-Aid for a zit? Use a Band-Aid for a zit?
Well, if you want to cover it up.
On your face?
Well, maybe it's on your finger and you don't want your girlfriend to go, hey.
You got zits on your fingers?
But, well, you never know what can happen when you're young. But besides that, I thought the idea of having earbuds in skin tones was so you could put them in your ears and nobody would know that you're listening to your earbuds, so they would just think that you're goddamn ignoring them.
It's a compliment, the same way like the right color shoes could compliment your shirt.
I didn't know that anybody would notice what color shoes you're wearing if your shirt is nice enough. Well, but I'll tell you what, you can hear all about this and more on your everyday wireless earbuds from Raycon because you can listen to podcasts on it too. And they're weatherproof and sweat resistant, so you can just be a disgusting sweat hog bathing in your own filth and you can still hear just fine. And the 30-day happiness guarantee means that you will be happy for 30 days. And after that, you're on your own. We don't want anything to do with you.
And don't forget about Christmas.
And don't forget about Christmas. It comes every year.
Stock up now so you don't forget at the last minute.
Oh, that's right, because these are stocking stuffers. Because they're small, and you can just take a pair of these. You got them in your hand. You can hold them in 2 or 3 fingers and walk up behind a woman and just pull the back of her stocking out and stuff it right down there. And she will thank you endlessly.
She will kick you in the face. That is not what you should do. We're talking about stockings on the mantle, but we're talking about the Mickey mantle of earbuds, Raycon.
Well, there you go. I got that reference because they hit harder and farther. That's right. And they'll use a baseball bat on you if you get out of line.
And their liver is black.
What about... now, come on. It was only dark brown. Men get shortchanged. They have no stockings to be stuffed. Folks, if you're wanting to get everyday earbuds for the man in your life, just get a pair and stick them up his ass. Because he's not wearing stockings, so you got nothing
Once
to
again, let's focus on reality. Let's focus on the ear. Let's focus on the ear canal, the experience of listening to fine tunes or a great podcast with Raycon, whether it's a comedy show with lots of laughs and wacky things, or something deadly serious.
Something deadly serious like this. Get a pair of these and shove them in your man's ears. Go to buy Raycon.
Shove them nowhere.
Shove them nowhere.
Shove them in your own ears. Those are the only ears you're allowed to shove into without prior permission.
That would be painful if you shoved them into your own ears. If you shove them in somebody else's ears, it won't hurt you. Anyway, but you can go to Buy Raycon. That's BUYRAYCON, buyraycon.com/JCE today. You're going to get 15% off your Raycon order and free shipping. 15% off and free shipping. They will charge you nothing to bring these things to you and hand them to you or put them in your box, or just leave your front door open the day you expect them and somebody will walk by and pitch them in. Buyraycon.com/JCE, 15% off free shipping. The everyday earbuds, they sound better than the big box hoity-toity models that charge you out the ass. You're not going to pay the price of an AEW wrestling ticket for these. They're affordable for the whole family. As a matter of fact, if you've got twins, get a pair and put the right fucking bud in the one's ear and the left bud in the other one's ear and see if they can communicate to each other. It's a scientific experiment.
No scientific experiment. At this point, just be selfish, ladies and gentlemen. Buy it for yourself. Raycon, what's that promo code, Jim?
JCE.
And we're going to go back to Germany.
Back to Germany. When I'm calling you. And we had
real quick, as we are recording before we get back to Germany, just because what you just did reminded me of it. Something's going around right now on Twitter. Tomohiro Ishii has posted a picture on his blog of flying on Tony Khan's private jet after Capital Collision alongside Leo Rush. So Tony's taking all the boys up in his jet now.
What was Capital Collision?
I have no idea.
Well, they were in Washington so it was last week's Dynamite is what it was. And Leo Rush and Ishii made the fucking... Are you sure he wasn't using them for, like, his stewardesses?
I don't know about that, but let's go back to Germany.
All righty. The mixed tag team match, Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan against Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. And I'll tell you what, I love this one too. Because, and remember, we were talking about how much is too much, how much can Rhea get her hands on Dominic before the match, and they teased it, and then it got a little bit, and then had the big one taken away, and etc. And they did a great job in this one also of keeping it moving and not paying everything off till the end. But at the same time, Dominic was still able to take plenty of bumps, even a few for Rhea. And the crowd, Whereas in the other matches, some of the like Ludwig Kaiser and LA Knight from SmackDown, they cheered both guys, and Gunther and Orton will hear later on, you know, they loved both guys, and Owens and Cody, oh yeah, cheer for both guys. They booed the shit out of Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. And they wanted to see Priest and Ripley. And this is probably the most over Priest has been just because he was standing next to Rhea, you think?
And I told you the other day, the ultimate compliment, Liv Morgan could be a valet in world class. Her and Dominic together are great. And even though Rhea and Priest are both significantly larger than both of their opponents, it worked. Rhea may have gotten her hands on Dominic more than Liv.
Well, and see, that's the thing is, at the start, they shined the baby faces. Priest beat the shit out of Dom. And he has to, right? Because that's who they would be. And the fans chanted, "We want mommy." So then they do the rules where when a girl tags in, the other girl has to tag in. So Rhea beat the shit out of Liv, and the fans loved that. And then Liv tagged Dominic, and Priest pulled him in and beat the shit out of him again. But then Liv was the distraction. And she also, during the heat, she'd interfered like the heel manager, but she distracted Priest, and Dominic stopped him. And they got enough heat on Priest to where he could make a tag to Rhea, although I'll say this now, and it goes for the next tag also. Somebody please work with these poor people on hot tags. It could have... They just go over and tag when it's time with the other guy down in the ring and not trying to stop anybody. If they could build their hot tags, they would blow the roof off these fucking places. But anyway, Priest cold tagged Rhea, and Rhea made a comeback on Liv, and she's got all the fire in the world. I'm not saying that people booed or that they didn't cheer, but it's just a cold tag is when you do nothing to fucking build to a goddamn pop. Just air, boom. I've said this a million times, though. I've illustrated that. Can they go to the YouTube channel and hear Jim Cornette on hot tags, I wonder?
I don't know, actually.
Well, goddamn it, fix it so they can if they can't. You're in charge of these things. Tell somebody what to do.
I will work with AI Cornette tonight on it.
How about that asshole Sharknado or Kippelman or somebody?
Well, we need the clip before we could just add it there. I don't know if there's a clip, is the point.
Well, I've said this a bunch of times. It's out there somewhere floating in the ether.
Out of how many episodes, when was the last time?
Well, what have we done, 1,000 of these? Maybe.
This is episode 548 of The Experience.
Well, it might have been on the drive-through. So there's 300 and something of those.
Well,
so
go.
It's less than 1,000, so it shouldn't be that hard. They're only, 3-4 hours apiece? All right. Anyway, so then Rhea sees Dominic, and Dominic humming. And Dominic says, "Oh, give me a hug, mommy." And Rhea clotheslines the shit out of him and gets a leg choke on him in the corner and bumps Liv and goes for the riptide on Dominic, and Liv saves him in the nick of time. And then they beat up Rhea for a minute, and she cold tagged Priest. Just there was no way anybody could stop her. Just boom. And Priest made a comeback. And it broke into a big four-way, and then Priest and Rhea did double razor's edges on both the heels, and Priest was going to choke slam Dominic. And here comes Carlito and JD. And the babyfaces stop them, but Finn comes in and nails Priest, and Dominic hits a big 619 and a splash and gets a 2 count. And then the girls come back in. And Priest and Finn and Dom are fighting on the floor, and Dom ran at Priest on top of the desk. They had the 2 desks side by side, but Priest clotheslined him, and Dominic took a flip bump on the fucking desk. And then Rhea headbutted Liv and gave her the riptide. Boom. 1, 2, 3. And that was the end of that. Boom. They had to win. There was no, and I didn't know that they would beat Liv. I kind of wish that they had Liv or Rhea beat Dominic and let the referee count it anyway. That would have been a little fucking extra out for the heels, but Rhea needed to win this because she's the biggest babyface star. And I don't know that it hurts Dominic and Liv to lose because they're just such annoying heels in that vein. They don't need to be dominant in the win-loss category. But I like this fucking thing too.
I thought it was really good. I'm a big fan of Liv and Dom together as sneaky chicken shit heels who don't stop. Like Liv Morgan, like go down and then get up and jump on someone's back. And I thought this was really good and I really liked it. And I think that they don't lose any heat. They lost the match and they can come back on Raw and pick up all their heat.
Pick it up in a pretty basket. But now it's time, Brian. Time for the world title to be on the line. I know the world title was just on the line 4 matches ago, but it's another world title. It's Another World. Did you ever watch Another World, or was that still on when you were a kid?
I never really watched it, no.
You struck me as being a soap opera fan when you'd be about 7, 8, 9.
No, I was watching cartoons.
See, that surprises me. I thought you'd have been tied into all the latest goings on at General Hospital.
That's what's missing today for kids, especially boys. There's no Thundercats.
Soap operas?
Thundercats, G.I. Joe, He-Man, Transformers, Voltron. Just all these great cartoons.
I thought you meant General Hospital and One Life to Live.
No, apparently some of those are still around.
Well, we got one more match to go, if not one life to live, for the world title, Randy Orton versus Gunther. And this was the ultimate example of this crowd going absolutely berserk. Because Orton's been in the WWF for 20 years or more, and he's over, and he's an icon. And Gunther is the most well-known German wrestler in the United States since Fritz von Erich, and he's better known in Germany than Fritz von Erich was because Fritz von Erich wasn't really German.
Neither is he. He's Austrian.
Well, same thing.
It's not the same thing.
These people were going nuts for him.
Germany invaded Austria. It's not the same thing.
Well, wait a minute. What do they speak in Germany? What
German.
language? Okay, what language they speak in Austria? Austrian? See, you hate to give up a point, don't you?
Well, I don't know what... they may speak German, but again, that doesn't dispel anything about the fact that Germany invaded Austria. If all of a sudden the Austrians are speaking German.
They taught them a goddamn lesson too, didn't they? Because they still loved the Austrians in Germany, because they loved Gunther.
Oh, yeah, let's get back. Let's get away from World War II and let's get back to World War III.
I'm just saying he's closer than St. Louis to a hometown hero as Gunther, and that's the way that they were taking him. So I think your problem with the people of Austria is old-fashioned.
I don't have a problem with the people of Austria.
Well, anyway, the people liked everybody here. They sang Orton's song, which they played over and over and over. He got the world record for milking the fucking crowd, just standing there in the spotlight. And then they played Gunther's music, and they're singing his. I've never heard anybody sing Gunther's song. But they were singing his song, too. And on the ring introductions, Orton gets the big pop from our girl Samantha, her introduction. And then hand comes in the screen, and there's Ludwig. Our boy Ludwig Kaiser, and he demanded the microphone, and they cheered that. And then he spoke German, and they cheered that. And then English, and he introduced Gunther, and they cheered the shit out of Gunther. And then they tried to ring the bell. Well, they did, but more singing broke out. And then they had a bit of a wrestling match. They did a couple of headlock takeovers. And the crowd wouldn't stop chanting and screaming whether they were doing anything or not. So they just stopped and stared at each other and let the crowd scream and yell, and the people are batshit. And then they started doing the wave. And so Orton waited for it to go around and then fucking joined the wave, and the place went batshit about that. I mean, this is literally every professional wrestler's dream. Just go out and stand in the ring and have the people jumping up and down, having a fucking manic fit, and then lock up. Anyhow, did you notice it was an old style ring? They didn't have the LED posts.
I didn't notice that, no.
Okay, well, it's all
I
the way
wasn't really
church.
looking for it, so I didn't pay attention.
Well, when they were out fighting on the floor, it was refreshing to see actual metal ring posts again, rather than all this fancy shit. And it's good. It's suitable because Gunther and Orton are an old-fashioned couple of workers. That's why this was as good of a match as it was. Gunther was going to be the hero in this thing to the German crowd, but they, again, same thing as with Cody and Owens, they didn't want to just boo the shit out of Orton. And they worked it this way, and Orton can be a little more heelish than Cody because it's in his nature. It's Randy Orton's personality. And so, but again, Orton wasn't cheating, pulling out foreign objects, doing things behind a referee's back, taking a cheap shot, capitalizing, but he got heat on Gunther's right arm that Gunther does the chops with. And that's smart, not heelish, but the crowd didn't like it because they want to see Gunther, their boy, chop. And Gunther, without switching babyface and just doing a Ricky Morton and mouthing "help me" to the crowd, was fighting from underneath, and when he would chop, he would sell the arm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. But it's like Gunther was the very subtle babyface figure in a lot of this when he was fighting from underneath and Orton was cranking on that arm. And then they're back and forth with the stiff shots. It was a selling class on guys staggering and registering and or outright taking a bump, and the varying degrees of it in fighting each other. I find at one point, Gunther threw a bunch of kicks and Orton just reached up and poked him in the eye. And the crowd booed that. But that got more response than on a lot of shows or in some other WWE matches when the fucking heel takes a goddamn hockey stick and hits the guy in the fucking dick with it. But then as soon as Randy hit the draping DDT, the crowd was chanting RKO, RKO, because they wanted to see that. And then when he tried it, Gunther ducked and German suplexed him and drop kicked him, splash off the top and got a 2 count. And on the splash, Gunther hooked Orton's leg with his left arm, still selling the right arm. And now the people are chanting, this is awesome. And they go back and forth with some more false finishes. And then finally, Orton had set the metal stairs up next to the desk, and he bounced Gunther off of them over and over, and then gave him the big drop onto the announce desk that he does, and the desk collapsed. So Orton drags Gunther to the ring, try to beat him, and goes for the RKO, and Gunther slips it and gets the sleeper. And then Orton breaks it, but Gunther gets it back. And then Gunther gives him the elbows and another sleeper. And Orton picks him up on his shoulders and falls backwards and breaks it, but Gunther gets it back and more elbows. And then finally Orton passes out and the referee rings the bell. Great match. I hate these stationary finishes. And I know they were still fighting for it and everything, but that's another one of these modern tropes, as they say, that it just, when you're in that same place, in that same general position for that long, and there is some element of it being a foregone conclusion, and it doesn't give people the exhilaration of an incredible 1, 2, 3 that they didn't expect or were waiting to see, and suddenly it's right in front of them, and they got 3 seconds to register it. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me. I know typically you always, I'm not put down, but you're not a fan of submission finishers.
Well, submission, yes, when it doesn't. They were there for a while. put the fucking hold on the guy and go, oh shit, and he fights and he can't and he taps or whatever. But going back to it, I see what they're doing, but it's just still, there's no big bump. There's no big moment. There's no big revealing whatever. There's no big anticipation. Oh, it's,
What'd you think of them shaking hands after the bout?
Well, I hadn't got there yet, but I will now. As they got up and regathered their wits about them, then and by the way, they shook left hands because Gunther was still selling his right arm behind him. But they shook left hands and Orton acknowledged Gunther. And I think some of the lip readers said that Orton said, you're the fucking man, which is probably what he did. And I think it's great there. I think if they'd been in Cleveland, maybe not. But because they were in Germany, I think it was the right thing to do. Because it does paint Gunther as somewhat of an honorable character. But he should be at that point, and also he won.
It was a good match, and that was the main event. Did you watch any of the coverage after the matches?
Well, I got the pay-per-view, so mine went to, thank you for ordering this pay-per-view.
No, they're doing like a really good job of treating it like a sport in the post-production where they have or in the post-show, I should say, they had that Jackie Redmond with Big E and I forget who was with him. And then they kept going back to different places. They went back to the announce desk, talked to them, had an interview with Punk. They were all around and it was actually a really good job, I think they did.
Well, and the primary reason for that is not the pay-per-view where the buyer has already purchased what he wanted to see and seen it, but it's to keep them on Peacock, right? Now that they're engaged on Peacock, well, let's keep them for another hour with this post-show wrap-up and et cetera. So,
and then they went to the media scrum, and Cody Rhodes spoke first, and he kind of spoke in place of Triple H, who wasn't there. His daughter was going to college this weekend, so no Triple H.
She can go through college in one weekend. She's got to be a smart little whippet there.
Well, maybe they made a donation to the university.
So she enrolls on Thursday, goes to class on Friday. She got her diploma by Monday.
Well, I don't think that's how it worked, but another record-breaking WWE event.
And you can get away with this when you have an audience like these that they're getting, especially internationally, that are so rabid to see these people in these matches and what's going to go on. And like we talked about earlier with the AEW folks, yes, Australia may be rabid, but at those prices and with that many tickets to sell, the problem that I have is when AEW goes to the regular towns now in this country, it's library-like silence in a lot of the matches because the people now are kind of going out of duty because this is what they have been supporting and wanted to support for so long. That's why the numbers are dropping because they're, slowly they're like, well, fuck. Now,
it's about stars too. It's about stars being presented like stars.
What are we getting out of this at this point besides supporting this company we wanted to support? Why are we supporting this company?
Yeah.
But, you can't charge incredible prices when the people are not coming there ready to jump out of their fucking chairs anyway. So that's the difference is the WWE's getting away with this because these people are having a fine old fucking time. But a lot of the AEW audiences that I know this is an extreme case, but actually it's not extreme. France, Puerto Rico, the goddamn reactions they're getting at their big major events in this country. SummerSlam, the 60-something thousand people or whatever were hopping up and down.
And just imagine how much higher the bidding for WrestleMania is going to get in coming years as more of these events keep happening with sellouts in different parts of the world. They're about to have a year with Cena.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, the WrestleMania bidding is a big deal now. Imagine how much more it's going to be in a few years.
So the gap is widening. I think the biggest gap is the space between Tony Khan's ears, but nevertheless, that can we come back home from Berlin?
Yes, please. Yes, now, yes.
Well, let's hop on the transport. And folks, we will be back to drive through another episode of Brian's program in the next few days, and then back here next week with, my God, next week's another AEW pay-per-view on the Experience, isn't it?
All out.
Boy, I sure am. All out of patience. So, we're going to get out of here to get ready for that, folks. Until we see you and hear you and feel you up and fondle you again, thank you, fuck you, and bye-bye, everybody.